Forget a cold, wet Tuesday night in Stoke. Try playing in a blizzard 220 miles inside the Arctic Circle at the world's northernmost professional club. When Chelsea lost at Tromsø in Norway in the 97-98 Cup Winners' Cup, a massive snowstorm hit at half-time. These two boys and their brooms were absolutely no match for it. We're staying in Scandinavia for Scotland's toughest away day on a windswept cliff in the Faroe Islands. In Euro 2000 qualifying, Craig Brown's men were taken to fishing village Toftir. Kevin Gallagher called the pitch a cowfield and the wind like Pitodry on a bad day. The Faroe Islands part-timers equalised in stoppage time, leading to these absolute scenes, and still one of Scotland's most embarrassing results.
Daft little ground, silly game.
But away trips don't come any tougher than a lung-busting schlep up the Andes to face Bolivia in La Paz. But now the Bolivians have taken home advantage to another level. The country's highest city, El Alto, 4,100 metres above sea level. Grass doesn't even grow up here. Bolivia have not lost here yet. The longest unbeaten run in any professional league ever belongs to Red Star Belgrade, or Crvena Zvezda if you must. They've gone 7 years without defeat at the Rajko Mitic in Serbia's Superliga. Their fans are pretty intimidating as well, but they're not as loud as this mob. Galatasaray's Ali Sami Yen Stadium's officially the loudest in world football. In a derby with Fenerbahce, Galatasaray fans set a Guinness World Record of 131 decibels. That's louder than Motorhead, and pretty tough to carry out your manager's instructions when you can't even hear them. However, our most intimidating away day is in Wales, where cameras can't enter and players can't leave. HMP Prescoed. This prison team was briefly kicked out the Gwent League over concerns about young opposition having to go in there. Now that's a tough place to go.
Early June 1939, Germany, always a tough place to go to.
Good morning, 3 minutes past 6, Monday, April the 13th. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark. Buy a used car and get a free 2-year service plan, plus an extra £500 when you part exchange. Shop the upgrade event today. I'm just telling Andy Townsend is with me, and I hate to start with a moan, but seriously, deep fried food, i.e. fish and chips, and puds off the menu at school. Look, school is bad enough without having, you know, the those who want to look after you from afar, you know, having an influence on school.
Fish and chips, forget the kids are running through the door if they think it's fish and chips
exactly
on the menu.
It's a good reason to want to go to school.
Of course it is, exactly. Look, listen, I think they got plenty more to worry about in this world than knocking fish and chips off the menu. Look, if they're having it every day of the week, yeah, of course, but they're not, are they? And so I don't think that anything like that does your kids any harm at all. Yeah. Moderation, bit of moderation with everything.
Moderation in everything. Do-gooders. Yeah. Leave fish and chips alone.
Yes.
On the school dinner menu, eh? So how are you, Andy?
I'm great, mate. And how are you?
Yeah, good. Couple of hours sleep last night because, and I suspect the same with you.
Yes.
With the golf.
Yeah, exactly.
They've got to reschedule it. They've got to start that final round a couple of hours earlier.
Well, it would certainly help, wouldn't it? Because it was midnight, wasn't it? By the time it all wrapped up. And congratulations to Rory, because it was a genuine roller coaster ride yesterday. It looked like others were going to get involved, and others were going to go beyond him, and the early moments in his round was difficult for him. And then all of a sudden, the field just started to come back towards him, Jeff. When they had a chance to really, perhaps someone had a chance to try and grab that final round, they just couldn't quite do it. And all credit to Rory in the end, because he got his game together. And what an achievement. Back-to-back Masters takes some doing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I thought it was a sort of street fighter's performance, if you like, because he wasn't playing great golf.
No.
That's for sure. But he just dug deep, and at the big moments, he came good. I have to tell you, after 2 rounds, though, when he's 6 strokes clear, and we're all talking about record margin of victory, I'm thinking that's great, because that means I can go to bed on Sunday night without watching it, because he'll be home and hosed. And yet it was a Sunday night where we saw, I think 3 different leaders at certain stages, including Rosie.
Yeah.
So you had to feel a little bit of...
I think everybody would have... I think when I saw... I think Rosie was on the 8th, and he had a 2-shot lead, Jeff. I think he'd gone 12 under. And McIlroy and Young were back at 10. And I'm thinking, it would be an incredible story for Justin. And he's so solid and so methodical and he has such a great sort of rhythm to the way that he plays and what he does. And then, again, once, like everybody, seemingly, once they get in front in that competition, it's really hard. All of a sudden, that hole starts becoming just a little bit smaller, and it's not quite so easy to start knocking it in. Very difficult, but again, he can be very pleased and very proud of the way he played.
Hey, Andy, look, I've been away for a few weeks, back on the air at 3 minutes past 6. 6 minutes past 6, John Barnes has texted me, said, Jeff, retire, please. You're so boring. That's 3 minutes, John. Come on, give me a break. At least wait 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And before you laugh, Andy, he goes on a bit later on. He says, Andy's just as bad.
Yeah. Thanks, John. Yeah, nice to see you, mate.
Yeah, lovely. But a morning to Lorraine, who said a miserable weekend with Arsenal losing and Man City winning has been brightened up by hearing your voice, Jeff. Glad to have you back. Thank you very much indeed, Lorraine. Thank you as well, John. Just make sure you stay listening, whether we're boring or not. Let's move on to the Premier League, shall we? What a weekend it's been. Not in terms of footballing quality. I was really disappointed with most of the games this weekend, purely in terms of quality. But, of course, Spurs now firmly in the bottom 3 after West Ham demolished Wolves on Friday night. Yeah. And Spurs, well, they were powder puff, weren't they, at Sunderland? Liverpool beating Fulham. Bit pedestrian apart from the boy Rio Gamoa, who was phenomenal. Newcastle beaten at Crystal Palace, and of course Arsenal losing at home to Bournemouth, while City were beating Chelsea. I know you were at that game.
Yesterday.
I thought for the first, if Arsenal fans want to take some encouragement, I thought for the first half hour yesterday, probably the first half, City were very, very poor. Yeah, they turned it on in the second half, but first half, not great.
No, first half, plenty of possession without really creating anything that significant. Nico O'Reilly, who played really well.
One of the players of the season.
What a good player he is. He got to the dead ball line a couple of times first half, and couldn't quite find the right ball. But I think they had the lion's share of the possession without really turning it on and turning the heat up against Chelsea. Second half, completely different, right from the get-go. Literally the opening couple of minutes of the second half, City had their foot to the floor. They were running quicker, faster, harder than they were at any other point in the first half. And then once they scored, once Nico O'Reilly gave them the lead, they never looked like letting up. And I think the really encouraging signs for City fans and for Pep, of course, yesterday, watching this kind of new Manchester City that we're witnessing now. When they scored that first goal, Jeff, there was no thought about, we'll just keep the ball for 10 minutes. We'll just sit back. We'll protect what we've got. We'll hang on to it. No, their only thought was keep piling forward at a rate of knots. And Chelsea could not handle that. They couldn't cope with the speed, the power, and the sheer intensity of what City were doing in the second half. And they were full value for their victory. It didn't flatter them at all.
I mean, there's a lot of noise, obviously, surrounding Arsenal at the moment after that defeat at home to Bournemouth. Let's put you as a player back in an Arsenal shirt with what's happened in recent history. What are the players thinking? What's in their mind at the moment? Are they as worried, as panic-stricken, if you like, as some of the fans are?
Well, no doubt they are they are very concerned. There is no doubt, because the spark has gone. There's just something that's, and look, it's very, very difficult. Momentum. We just spoke about the golf, Jeff, and you see these top players when they have the momentum, when it's with them, how incredible they can be, how good they can be, and then you start to lose it a bit, and then everything becomes a little bit of a fight, and that's the way it is for Arsenal at the minute. Everything is a bit of a fight, so they're relying very heavily on the way they are defensively as a team, and even that now is not quite so secure as it once was. The chances, they are affording the opposition chances. I think Bournemouth are a really, really good little side, and they are a dangerous team to play, because they play pressure-free, because they're a smaller club, mid-table in the Premier League. That can make them a particularly difficult team to play against, and they certainly are. But Arsenal now, yes. Are the players concerned? Are they worried? Yeah, of course they are. Yeah, they are, because they know that just at the minute, it's not quite happening, Jeff. It's not quite there. And of course, the game they got coming up next week now, I know they got big and midweek, but the game next weekend against City is just going to be phenomenal.
Massive. Look, I'm a big Mikel Arteta fan. I just wished after that Bournemouth game, when he described it as a punch in the face, correct, that he hadn't said congratulations to Bournemouth on their efficiency, 2 chances and 2 goals. Just put your hands up on the day, Mikel, and say, look, Bournemouth were the better side today. Congratulations to them, because there were certainly more positions that they got into which could have produced goals.
Correct.
But look, as far as City are concerned, they're on a roll at the moment, 6 points behind the Gunners. Of course, they have to play them at home yet next weekend. Pep Guardiola assessed his side's performance after yesterday's match, and despite the 3-0 win, he still thinks he could see more.
First half was not bad, but was not... We attack in the left side with Nico or Jeremy, on the right side didn't attack once. Just in the Bella and Rodri. Rodri has not attacked that space. And second half, the mindset was more positive, more threatening to the opponent, and that's why we got after the goals, and the quality made the difference.
What a game it is next weekend. Nicholas has texted saying there are no leaders in the Arsenal squad. Arteta has bought soft players, both physically and mentally. Is he right?
No, I can't, Nicholas. I can't see how he's bought soft players. I mean, look, I think with some of the recent results in their league form, yep, it's being questioned. But I don't think you can say that Saliba, Gabriel, Declan Rice are all soft physically. They're not. They're not. What they are, they're a team at the moment that'll be hunted down by an emerging City team, a team that are really, really on the front foot and are in great form and are looking very dangerous every time they get the ball. You think they could create a situation, they could score. Whereas it's the flip side for Arsenal at the moment. I heard Cass say something yesterday on the radio about saying that Arsenal were taking all their risks at the back and none at the top of the field. And that's the kind of way it feels. That's the way it looks. I think it's a really good point that, you know, we saw the goalie at the weekend flicking a few with his boot, trying and nearly having it intercepted and maybe causing a few situations. And then they're getting at the top of the field and it becomes a bit regimented, a bit obvious and a bit predictable. And so that's something that they've got to try and change. They have such a huge game next week. City have a week to recover, Jeff, and prepare without a game. And of course, Arsenal have got a big game against Sporting midweek, so they can't take their eye off that one for sure. But that City game is just absolutely enormous, and City are going to be going into that one as considerable favourites to win it. I really do, the way they're playing at the minute.
Yeah, and that will certainly put the cat among the pigeons, that is for sure. Shay, thank you very much indeed for your text. He said, I'm an Arsenal fan. We can still win the Premier League. Keep the faith, Shay. It's not over just yet. And Ash, who's a Newcastle fan, a regular contributor, says, morning, Jeff and Andy. Welcome back, Jeff. Some things never change. Jeff moaning, Arsenal bottling the league, Newcastle being consistently inconsistent. The world is back to normal. Right, we want your calls this morning. City fans, is Pep a man on a mission? Arsenal fans, have you seen this movie before? Give us a call. Tell us where your heads are right now. 03717 223344. Coming up, have the mind games already begun from Pep as he calls Arsenal the best team in Europe.
How does he go about saving Spurs? Because we were talking about this on the Premier League All Access podcast. He's a pure football man. He wants to play a certain way, but the time it takes to get that injected into the players' veins is not long enough for the time that he's had in terms of being on the training ground. So does he have to be a little bit more simple in his approach? Does he have to work with the resources he's got?
Yeah.
And what are those?
What has he had? He's probably had nearly 10 days maybe before the game kicks off. He can't have that hard approach, I don't think, at this stage. That's got to be something in the summer, and you work out who's with you, who's not. At the moment, he's got to work out what formation he's going to play, who's going to be his best players. And you look at the midfielders available, bring them down, Sam, like Bergvall, Gallagher, Paulinho, Sarr, Gray. Out of those centre midfielders, who do you choose out of them?
Well, it's great to have Bergvall back for a start, and it's great to have a choice, because one of the problems they've had over the season is they haven't been able to have a choice because there's been so many injuries.
But even going forward, Tell, Simmons.
Kudos has picked up a setback, hasn't he?
Exactly. Mwani, Solanke, Richarlison. He's got to work out which of these players is going to get the goals that they need. Van der Ven, second top goal scorer. Richarlison's got 9. Then Van der Ven and Romero have got 4. And then I think Towell's got 3. It's not good enough. It's really not good enough. Someone's got to step up in that team.
It's been an act of self-harm, hasn't it, over the course of the season from Tottenham Hotspur, going back to not getting the recruitment right in the summer, appointing the wrong managers at the wrong time, and ranking bottom for errors leading to goals.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling. Andy Townsend is with me through until 10 o'clock this morning, and that's an absolute classic, isn't it? Let's Stay Together by the legendary Al Green. Why are we playing it? Because the 11-time Grammy winner turns 80 today. And he is a legendary name, but if I asked you to name a lot of Al Green songs...
Yeah, that's a good point. No, that's a fair point. Now, look, I remember seeing an interview with Keith Richards from the Stones. He was talking about Al Green, Jeff. And he mentioned that, obviously, the Reverend Al Green. And he joked in this interview, Keith said, we now and again, and I'm not casting any aspersions here, I'm only repeating what Keith said, but he said, the Reverend Al Green, of course, we all know why he does that, because you don't pay any tax on your money if you're a reverend. Right? And he came out with this in this interview once, and I'll tell you what, it did make me chuckle, because I don't know whether it's true.
Oh, a piece of genius if it is true.
I tell you it did. But anyway, going back to him, you're spot on. I can't actually, off the top of my head, I can't even name another one. Can you?
Yeah, Tired of Being Alone and Let's Stay Together were the two big ones.
That one there, was a great song, though. That was a brilliant song.
Yeah, it surprised me. Rolling Stone, legendary music magazine, of course. 100 greatest artists of all time. Al Green is number 65. And it doesn't sound much, but that's quite an achievement.
Yes.
That's quite an achievement. And he did have a a wonderful voice. Just a reminder, this is talkSPORT Breakfast with the Reverend Andy Townsend and the Reverend Jeff Stelling. Let's move on, shall we, and take a look at today's back pages.
Back page review on talkSPORT.
And Olivia is back with us. Morning, Olivia.
Good morning.
Morning, Liv. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Very good. Well, what happened yesterday?
Well, what happened yesterday, I think, is what everyone thought was going to happen yesterday. There was no shock. There was no surprise. I had 3-1 City.
Did you?
Yeah,
Maybe the way that it happened,
above.
second half might have been a bit of a shock to you.
No.
No, really?
No. I've watched, Andy, I've watched enough of Chelsea, especially the last couple of months, to know that none of that second half performance was a surprise.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, I tell you, it's certainly given them all something more to think about, Liv, because they needed to find a couple of gears and they couldn't do it.
No, they couldn't do it, and I don't even think Chelsea should be even thinking about Champions League football. I think you should be worrying about Bournemouth in 10th, that they're only a couple of points.
Yeah, well, they should be worrying about any form of European football.
Yep.
That's the reality of the situation. And when you look at the side that they had out yesterday, it's hard to see game changers there. At least it is for me.
Yeah.
And whereas you look at other clubs and you think, player A or B or C is really progressing. With Chelsea, you look at player A, B and C and you think they're all regressing.
I completely agree, and I think it's really worrying times. I think it's quite clear to see that the club have gone backwards, especially when you look at what happened in the summer. And Marc Cucurella coming out and said he was really disappointed that Enzo Maresca got sacked, and I think you can quite clearly see that. I think perhaps most of the players maybe feel like that. He was the one that came out and said it. But anyway, we're talking about the back pages, and Chelsea are absolutely nothing to do with the back pages. Pep Guardiola on the back page of the Times, you mentioned it just before you broke, Jeff, that we are still underdogs, insists Pep. Now, Pep Guardiola, in his post-match interview after the game yesterday, said, we are the underdogs. The respect I have for Arsenal. They are the best team in the country, in Europe so far. Beating them once is so difficult. Imagine beating them twice in a few weeks. Obviously, they've only conceded 24 goals in the Premier League. They've got the best defence. They've only lost 4 times this season. Flying in the Champions League. I mean, you could say flying. They flew through the league phase, didn't they? So are they, Andy? The best team in Europe right now?
No, not in current form. They're not the best team in Europe right now. They are where they are, Arsenal, because of how impressive they have been. And I don't believe that it's done and dusted yet, and it's automatic that City will now go on and win the league. I still think that game next weekend is both teams are capable of winning it, but they've lost a spark. They've lost just a little bit of something from somewhere, Liv. And if you could put your finger on it, if you could change it, you would. Of course you would. It doesn't work that way in football. When that momentum goes, it becomes very difficult to grab it and get it back. They've got to believe that they can, at worst way, come away from City next weekend without getting beat. If they come away with a point, it's a great result for them.
Yeah, I think if they come away with a point, I think most people would probably say maybe that's the title race done. But does Pep Guardiola, Jeff, know what he's doing here? Does he know what he's doing when he comes out and says stuff like that?
Yeah, of course he knows what he's doing. He's a genius. I think it would be hard to argue against that. But, and look, the bookmakers will tell you, when we speak to the boys from Coral later on, I guarantee you Arsenal will still be favourites to win the league.
Yeah.
Simply because Arsenal have got the points on the board.
Yeah. Correct.
And fine, it's down to 6 points now. And, of course, City have that game in hand. And, of course, they've got Arsenal at home. Goal difference is negligible now, to be brutally honest. So I think it's really hard to call. Momentum's a great thing in football, and City certainly have it at the moment. But you know how quickly it can change as well. I think it's almost impossible to call right at this moment. One thing I did think, though, was I looked at City at Chelsea yesterday, and when they stepped up a gear in the second half, I thought Cherky was fantastic.
Yes, he was.
Half as well. He gives you something totally different. But what I was going to say was the depth of that squad, that they can bring on Phil Foden and Savinho. They can leave Mamouche and Reinders sitting on the bench twiddling their fingers,
Yeah.
I think that squad, Arsenal have got a great squad too, but I just think that squad depth could be the key in the end.
I wouldn't argue with that. That again, they were so impressive second half. I mean, Jeremy Doku, when I'm watching him, Jeff, and I love Liv, the way that every time he gets the ball, his first thought isn't to just step inside and drop it off to somebody else and then go wide again and I might get it back in a minute. Can I travel 20, 30, 40 yards with this ball? Can I beat my man? Can I get beyond him? Can I then produce something? And every single time he gets the ball, his first thought is to get at people and get beyond them. Love that from wide players.
I do love that from wide players because we don't see that enough from wide players. However, it is just his 8th Premier League goal in 4 years. Isn't that wild?
Is that
someone like Jeremy Doku?
Yeah, really.
7 before yesterday.
Well, again, it's that's a really interesting stat. That is. But and again, for someone of his ability, he should be getting a lot more than that. But he's just such a dangerous player and tough. Malo Gusto is a decent fullback. He had a tough time yesterday trying to hang on to him. He really did.
I mean, there isn't always an end product. That's the problem with Doku.
No,
but
most white players are like that, Jeff.
Exactly. Yeah. But he has that element of unpredictability, which makes him a nightmare to play against if you're a defender. So, and by the way, just while you're here, Olivia, Phil Smith says, good morning from Menorca. Just to say Chelsea are in serious danger of finishing in the bottom half of the Premier League, mainly due to defensive errors, especially from Sanchez. Any resemblance between Sanchez and a competent goalkeeper is purely coincidental. Thank you for that, Phil. You couldn't blame Sanchez.
I don't think you can blame Sanchez for any of the goals Chelsea conceded. Moises Caicedo gave away the ball for the third one. The first one was a free header from Nico O'Reilly from 2 yards out. I don't think you can blame...
No.
Listen, there have been a few games this season, admittedly, where you can blame the Chelsea goalkeepers for conceding goals. Listen, I don't think yesterday was one of them. But the question mark is still there over the Chelsea goalkeeper.
Oh, it's a massive question.
Yeah.
I don't think they're ever going to get where they want to get to with in between the posts, to be honest with you. I think Wesley Fofana as well is a player that doesn't get any better whenever I watch him. I don't think he improves things at all at Chelsea. I think he's one of those centre halves that makes that just doesn't seem to get the basics right and makes poor decisions. Yesterday he did okay, but in the main I don't see. I think they're all much of a much at the back and they're not good enough. That's the way I read it in those positions, and they've had so many brilliant players in those positions over the years, but I'm afraid they haven't got them at the minute.
Oh, well. Bottom half of the table. You know, it's not impossible.
It's actually really not.
It's not impossible. Thanks, Olivia. Paul has texted us, and morning, Jeff, moaning again. Ole, ole, glad you're back. And Andy.
Jeff, hold on. What's all this about you moaning?
I do have a reputation of being a bit of a moaner.
Well, it's not. I mean, I think that's a wee bit harsh. Come on, guys and girls out there. It is. Like you say, 5 minutes past 6, someone says, hello, Jeff.
Look,
you're back having a moan.
I mean,
it's a bit much.
When it comes to moaning, let's be honest, Andy Jacobs, he's the master and I'm just the apprentice. But I take it as a compliment in many ways. He said also, Andy said, what a guy, can we have more of your non-biased, common sense talking? It's not over yet, but boy, are Arsenal struggling. Take the handbrake off, move the ball with pace. When we get it wide, get it over first time. Do not go backwards. Paul, thank you very much indeed for that. Up next, Mike Cristiano Romero played his last game for Tottenham.
Managers can be petulant, players can be petulant, just like owners can be.
De Zerbi was, I mean, you know, you can say De Zerbi and he's walked into the Tottenham job, you know, like...
Would you take him at Chelsea?
Right here, right now.
Why are you hesitating?
Well, because that's just it's a rhetorical question.
I know, but...
Would you take my Spurs?
Yeah, I would have, but we got De Zerbi.
I know, but you're facing relegation.
You got Rossini as the manager.
That's not the question.
Okay, the question is, would you take him at Chelsea?
No.
Why?
Well, that does give you a reason, right? No.
What do you mean? I want a reason.
Because he's petulant.
No, that's not a reason.
Well, it is.
You've had loads of petulant managers.
I know, but
You've had hundreds of them.
They get sacked.
Okay, but that's absolute garbage. Don't tell me you wouldn't take Glasner over Rossini.
No, I wouldn't.
Oh, mate.
No.
What are you on about?
You're throwing your pen down.
What are you on about?
You're like a petulant
No,
child.
I know, but you're just an idiot. Like, I know you've got like a little Chelsea gig. I know you've got your little Chelsea gig going on over there.
I don't get me own way.
No,
so I'm throwing my pen down. How childish are you?
No, that is absolute guff.
Throw that.
No, it's absolute guff. You're talking absolute garbage. Don't talk garbage. Glasner is a million times better manager than Rossini.
Okay.
Don't sit here and say you wouldn't have him at Chelsea.
No, not having at Chelsea.
Oh,
he's too petulant.
Oh,
no, you wouldn't. Can you imagine him? Can you imagine him with the owners? He's just thrown out with Steve Parish. What's going to go on with Todd Bowley? Him and Todd Bowley.
You're an absolute nugget.
No,
well,
don't. If you don't like the question, don't ask.
Stupid.
Over the last few years, Formula One has gone from elitist and insular to a global entertainment brand. The transformation's down to American investment group Liberty Media, who cultivated a new image for the sport since buying it in 2016. Better access to drivers, improved content on social media, and tapping into the US market have given F1 a massive boost in both attention and revenues. But is everyone happy? The fans certainly are, as evidenced by Drive to Survive. Almost 7 million people per season have tuned in to get all the gossip and all the drama from the paddock. The extra exposure means the drivers can demand a higher salary too. In 2010, the top drivers were earning $20 million a year, which isn't bad. But now, the very best earn 3 times that, with Max Verstappen getting a whopping $65 million in 2025. But money doesn't always buy happiness. Some drivers, including Verstappen, don't like the pageantry the changes have brought about. In Las Vegas in 2023, Verstappen said the drivers were made to look like clowns, and the event was 99% performance and 1% race. Some purists who still watch the sport feel the same, and that the spirit of competition has suffered. But Formula One and Liberty Media don't look like slowing down anytime soon. So expect more races, major events and exclusive access in future.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark. It's the perfect time to upgrade your car. Get 2 years free servicing when you buy a used car in the upgrade event. Check it out online. I'm just telling Andy Townsend is with me at 6:34. A couple of quick texts for you here. Talking golf earlier on, Tony says, I've seen Jeff after he's 3-putted at Alsford Golf Club. Now that's moaning at a different level. Tony, when I've 3-putted, I'm normally pretty pleased. It's the 4 and 5 putts that worry me.
Do you know, look, listen, we've had a few texts this morning, Jeff, people coming on and saying, oh, Jeff's having a bit of a moan. We all have a whinge, right? Normally, I would say 10 minutes after getting up in the morning, most of us listening, most of us out there have a moan. Why? Because we look out the window and we go, have a look at the weather. Have a look. It is, you know. So we all do it. We all do it. So come on, text us actually 81089. Those early morning moans. And what is it that gets your goat first thing in the morning?
Yeah. And you are speaking to the master of moaning, so you make them good, okay? Aaron says, hi, Jeff, good job we had VAR to overturn the referee's incorrect decision to give Spurs a penalty yesterday. Or do you not like giving credit to VAR due to your dislike of it? I'd much rather Rob Jones got it right first time, Aaron, because it wasn't that difficult a decision, was it? But well done to VAR on that occasion. I can point out plenty of times when VAR has intervened when it wasn't required, or hasn't intervened when it was required. However, I think that's for another day. There's so much to talk about today. Dan, a Manchester United fan, he made a good point here. I think Arsenal don't have a serial winner in their squad to help them to success. They need to recruit a Casemiro-type player who's been there and won all there is, to instill that winning mentality into the squad. I don't think they'll achieve serial success without that type of player. It's an interesting point, Andy.
Yeah, look, it is an interesting point. Listen, the proof will be in the pudding here, and it will. If Arsenal get over the line, genuinely, it doesn't matter. Not every title that United won in that incredible era that they had was better year on year than it was the previous year. It doesn't work that. It's just about getting this one done, getting this one over the line, however they do it. I think people forget Arsenal have played some great football at times this season. At the moment, it's not quite there. They've got to be honest about that. Don't run away from that. Don't hide from that. It's not great at the minute, but they are still the team to catch. They are still the team to beat. And they've got to believe that they can go to City next weekend and get a result. If they do that, they're back in pole position.
Absolutely. Things change very quickly in football, don't they? Spurs fans are hoping that things change very quickly as well. Their place in the drop zone cemented yesterday. Another defeat, not helped by West Ham's emphatic win over Wolves on Friday night. This was new boss Roberto De Zerbi's first game in charge of Spurs, and after the match, he has assured fans that he remains in full belief that he will be able to pull the team out of relegation.
I'm positive because I normally speak with them. I believe in them, first of all, as a people, and then as players. For sure, we are in a tough moment, but I give you my word. They are good people, and they are suffering a lot for this situation. For that, I believe in them. If I have to fight with one player, for me, it's not a problem. But we don't need to make any policeman inside of the dressing room. But I would like to be a big brother. I would like to be a father, a friend, to help them to show what they are able to do.
Big task. I like him a lot, but it is a big task. On the other side, Sunderland boss Régis Le Bris had his say on Spurs after the match. He explained he was never worried about facing them.
If we were disciplined and consistent, composed, we'll have the opportunity to win this game. The opponent wasn't strong enough to beat us, so I wasn't too worried, but football is a footballer.
Let's get a bit more on this, shall we, and find out how panic-stricken the Spurs fans are at the moment. Let's bring in host of the Last Word on Spurs podcast. A very good morning to Ricky Sachs. Morning, Ricky.
Good morning, boys. How are you both?
Yeah, you're really good. Thanks, mate. Probably better than you, as things are at the moment. How concerned were you that, despite the new manager, Spurs didn't really lay a glove on Sunderland yesterday?
Yeah, massively concerned. Massively concerned. I thought first half we actually looked okay. We did create chances, and then second half we seemed to run out of steam. So, yeah, big worry given the fact that obviously we start this week inside the bottom three now. And it's no longer in our hands with 6 games to go. So massively concerning. And we have said it, throughout my period on talkSPORT as well in the last few weeks, that if Spurs are going to get out of this, as much as it'll be about the manager, it's going to be about the players. And we're going to see more from these players in these final remaining 6 games. Spurs are going to find a way of getting out of the perilous position that they find themselves in right now.
I didn't see the game, Ricky, at the weekend. Obviously, I've seen the highlights of it. Do you... When you said the players have got to give more, look, you want them to play with more confidence. That doesn't happen when you're in the position they're in. It's very, very difficult. Are you questioning the amount of effort that players are actually putting in? Are you seeing enough players putting that shift in that convinces you're going to get out of trouble?
Partly, Andy. I think the thing is that, look, it's quite obvious that the players are very much confidence-stricken. They look bereft of any kind of confidence. So when a setback happens, like we saw yesterday, and they go a goal down, they seem to find it really hard to rally themselves in a way in which you feel they're going to be able to get a grip of the game and try and turn it around. And that's been too much of a common theme this season. Once again, that shows yesterday that despite having a new man at the helm and him having 9-10 days to work with them, it seems to be very hard to lift the squad. I mean, there were some question marks yesterday how one of the very few attacking players that we have in Xavi Simons still can't get a start. That seems to be a ongoing scenario across this season. Frank didn't seem to fancy him, nor did Igor Tudor, and nor did Roberto De Zerbi in his first game, and he comes on with 6 minutes to go when it feels the game pretty much at that point has gone to some degree. Look, he can come on and try and rally to get us a point, but yeah, I just look at the forwards and, you know, he's branded relegation. Richarlison, he offered very little, nor did Dominic Solanke, nor did on loan Kolo Muani. You look at Conor Gallagher, he's on, what, 200 grand a week? Looks nowhere near the footballer that a lot of people seem to think Conor Gallagher is and should be, and we've seen good spells of Conor Gallagher at Atletico Madrid, at Chelsea, at Palace, but we're just not seeing that player. When you look at the goal Spurs conceded, you know, I hate to say it, the goal Spurs conceded is a goal typical of a team that are going to be relegated, and that'll be a big, big concern, I'm sure, to every single Tottenham fan.
I mean, listening to many Tottenham fans, the finger is often pointed at the ownership, at the board, but I was interested to hear in commentary yesterday that the matchday squad of Tottenham cost £560 million. So isn't it the truth of the matter that the recruitment has been the issue?
Well, the reality is, Jeff, I've said it so often on talkSPORT, the reason why Spurs are in this mess is because of the ownership and their mismanagement of the squad, not just this season, but over several. I think there's a lot of revision around Daniel Levy. Daniel Levy is a massive part of the reason why Spurs are in the situation they are in over years of neglect of the football club. But Johan Lang, Vinay Venkatesham, Riv Lewis, Nick Boycha, for how they've allowed this season to go for Tottenham and that January transfer window to play out as it did, and we were told not to panic because players were coming back. And you look at the players that are still out for Tottenham and those that have since been injured, once again have had another setback in the case of Mohamed Kudus. You know, Spurs deserve relegation for the way they've allowed this squad to have been mismanaged across this season. The fans don't, the ownership do, and we're in a perilous position right now. We've got 6 games to somehow try and save us. But I think the biggest worry for us all now is that it is no longer in Tottenham's hands, and you worry thinking we have to somehow win 2 to 3 games out of the next 6 when we've not won any in 2026 in the Premier League and what, winless in 14. So it's hard right now to see a way in which we are going to win a game, but you just hope if Spurs do somehow grab a victory out of somewhere that can hopefully start a winning run. But I'd be lying if I said to you I'm confident I can see that right this second.
Ricky, what about Christian Romero? Went off and obviously looked quite emotional as he left the field. Have you got any update on how long you think, or whatever that injury is? And also, would you expect him to, if it's an injury that keeps him out for the rest of the season, would you expect to see him in a Tottenham shirt again?
Well, it's hard, Andy. You're not sure if the tears are there because he's missing the World Cup rather than he's going to be missing Tottenham games. I think at the moment he's expected to undergo a scan in the next 24, 48 hours at the club, so we'll know more about it in the coming days. But no, I mean, look, difficult with Romero because probably he's one of Tottenham's best players when he is fully focused on form and has got his Spurs head screwed on. But at the same time, you know, booked yesterday, I thought he was one of Spurs' better players, to be fair, but we are severely lacking leadership. And you look across that back line yesterday, Mickey van der Ven out-tussled, out-muscled a lot by Brobby, who I don't know how Brobby remained on the field, guys, I've got to be honest with you. I'm not one to moan about referees, but I thought that was one of the worst refereeing performances I've seen in a long, long time. And they seem to always be coming against Tottenham in the last few months. And I'm not one to want to hide behind or blame referees, but the standard and the level of inconsistency around the refereeing this season is just absolutely so frustrating and bemusing. So, look, we're going to have to take some leadership now to get out of this. And I just keep saying this, I'm not sure where the points are coming from right now, but somehow, some way, this team, this squad, this manager is going to have to find a way of getting the results. Otherwise, we will be relegated.
Ricky, thanks very much
Nice
indeed.
one, Ricky.
Host
Pleasure,
and-
boys. Thank you so much for your time.
Cheers, mate. Host and founder of the Last Word on Spurs podcast, Ricky Sachs, with us there. Not just Spurs fans who've got their issues. Dave has texted in, said, "Hi, Jeff and Andy. What do you think's happened at Middlesbrough? I was at the game on Saturday and was in shock at how bad we were compared to a few weeks ago. Our downfall started with the Oxford game, and I think we'd be lucky to get automatic promotion now. I agree with you completely." Moaning. Chris the Wolves fan says, "Jeff, you're the Moan Ranger, and I love it. I will be your Tonto." There's another cracking one here, which of course I can't find anymore. It's disappeared. Let's see if we can find it in.
Here, listen, I like this one.
Here. So I've got
Go
one
on.
here. Sorry, Phil and Poppy. Morning, Jeff. So glad to see the Ninja Whinger back in the driving seat. I get up early specifically to enjoy the banter. It's nice to hear someone else moan instead of my wife on a Monday morning. Ow. Anyway, look, it is 6:46 at the moment. Still to come.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Download the new improved app to easily manage your accounts and quotes.
And we are, of course, talking Arsenal. Why does it seem to go so wrong for the Gunners when it comes down to the wire? Jason Cundy blames the Emirates faithful.
They are feeding their own anxiety and their own fears onto the pitch.
You're blaming the fans?
They're part of the problem.
Don't blame the fans.
They're part of the problem. They are absolute. They are going there scared. I can't say that word. Scared, stiffless.
And you know what, Jason? That's because they're football fans and they're the same regardless of who you support. Next, we'll be celebrating the great Rory McIlroy after he became one of a very special few to win back-to-back Masters. That was our breakfast preview with our good friends at Travis Perkins.
Scared, stiffless.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Get free next day track delivery. Head to travisperkins.co.uk or download the app.
Eddie Howe deserves to keep his job definitely in the summer, rebuild his squad of players, probably no European football next season, but you have to be honest and say the Premier League season hasn't been good enough at Newcastle standards. That's fine.
But is that because of the fact that they haven't got a deep enough squad?
Of course, they haven't got a deep enough squad, but the players that they've had available, they shouldn't be behind Sunderland in the league.
But aren't we back to the same discussion that we had when we were talking about Aston Villa? And that is that they have owners that are wealthy, probably wealthier than everybody else, but yet they're unable to spend because of the financial restrictions. And as a result, that's keeping them further down the pecking order.
Who do you think?
Because you look at their last few seasons,
Yep.
Champions League, qualification, then out.
Yep.
Great season getting to the winning the cup competition, getting to the Champions League, and then out. So what's next season? Another great season, and then the following season not being able to sustain it?
The problem
'Cause
they've got...
It's up and down, up and down, up and down.
The
Because
problem they've got as well is, do they have to sacrifice a player as well? Like Aston Villa have? Is that Tonali? Is that Ramirez? Which one is it that they have to sacrifice?
Tonali will go in the summer.
What sort of figures are you thinking for him?
80.
And where will he go?
Manchester.
Ooh.
Which one?
Take your pick.
But the interesting thing
I
there
think
is
he'll end up at City or United.
is that Elliot Anderson is a target, isn't he, for Manchester United? But you're not going to
target for both
of those in, are you?
Well,
one will go one club and the other one will go the other.
Well, I think United want two. It just depends what level of investment, which will obviously ignore Mr. Mathematician Gabby here. He'll be totting up the net spend already.
morning. This is talkSPORT Breakfast. I am the Moan Ranger, Jeff Stelling, and that's why we're playing that, obviously. Andy Townsend's with me as well. Dave has texted in from Leicester. He said, didn't realise it was a moaning show. Try being a Leicester fan, by far the worst club in the country, going down and going into administration next season. A shambles. He says, we'll touch on Leicester a bit more a little later in the programme, I think. But time to look back now at the Masters with Prostate Cancer UK.
Masters Review on talkSPORT with Prostate Cancer UK. Take on 72 holes of golf in one epic day and help save lives with every swing. Search the Big Golf Race now.
Yeah, so before we talk about the Masters, let's tell you about Prostate Cancer UK's flagship fundraiser, the Big Golf Race. Golf was asked to take on 72 holes of golf in one day. I mean, you know, golf's a lovely game. 72 holes. That is a real marathon, isn't it?
Not many.
So just choose a date, a golf club, get your mates together to raise money to save men's lives. You can get a free fundraising pack and information to set up your challenge and your fundraising page. To sign players up, everyone raising over £300 will go into a prize draw to win a golfing holiday for you and three mates at Aphrodite Hills in Cyprus. Very nice indeed. I'm sure by now you don't need me to tell you that 1 man in 8 will be affected by prostate cancer during your lives. The most common cancer without a screening program. So you can help change that by driving life-saving research to save men's lives. Sign up by visiting biggolfrace.prostatecancer.uk.org, or you can search the Big Golf Race online. Okay. Golf been on most of our minds over the last few days, hasn't it? Brilliant Masters event. I thought, the courts was a bit more benign at Augusta. Certainly helped make the tournament what it was, and Rory McIlroy ultimately joining the most elite of clubs by becoming just the 4th man ever to defend a Masters title. Nick Faldo did it, of course. Did he tell us that last night at all? I think he probably did. So McIlroy now has 6 majors, drawing him level with the legendary Nick. I'm delighted to say joining us now is talkSPORT's golf reporter, Sean O'Brien. Good morning to you, Sean.
Morning, Sean.
Morning, guys. How are we doing?
Yeah, we're doing absolutely great. It was an amazing tournament, wasn't it, Sean? Because McIlroy 6 clear after 2 rounds. Everyone talking about record-winning margins. But hey, how it changed in the last couple of rounds. But he dug deep when required.
He really did. I mean, Augusta doesn't let anyone run over the line, especially not Rory McIlroy. And there was a moment even on the back 9 there yesterday where I was thinking, this is far too stress-free. Everyone's missing putts. Rory seems like he's got a nice cushion, and I was looking at my watch being like, we'll be done by midnight. I can tell Kev Hatchard on the Trans-Euro Express that Rory's gone back-to-back. And then that drive on 18, Jeff, I was like, there it is. There's the Rory McIlroy moment. And the fact that it was Scotty Scheffler waiting for him in the clubhouse as well, that would not have been lost on Rory, and what a spectacle that would have been to have the world number 1 and 2 battling it out for the Masters. But so happy for Rory. I think it's lovely that his parents got to see it as well, because they're at home in 2025. And I think all those years that Augusta kind of played with his mind, I think actually ended up costing him about a decade worth of majors. And you think he was stuck on 4 for such a long time, and now he's on 6. And that's a much more accurate reflection of the golfer that he is, because he's one of the best of his generation. So another roller coaster Masters that Rory gets to win. And it's like London buses.
Yeah, Sean, I tell you, an hour and a half to go, right? There was, I mean, Rory was battling away with Cam Young. Scheffler had got to 9 under and then just couldn't quite seemingly rattle a few in, and then all of a sudden got to 11. Tyrrell Hatton at 10. There was a number of players in there. Any one of them you're thinking might be able to go and grab it, might be able to get it, and they just couldn't quite seemingly just make those all-important crucial putts, which just allowed Rory to just settle down and just find his rhythm again and eventually get himself back at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, you bang on. I think Russell Henley as well, who finished 2 shots back. Every time I looked at my screen, he had a birdie putt that burned the edge. And I think a couple of the guys you mentioned, Scotty Scheffler, he got to 10 under quite early, and then he got to 9 under, quite early, and then just couldn't really push on until 15 and 16, where he made a couple of incredible birdies. But Justin Rose will be kicking himself as well because hit the front and then stepped onto the 11th hole, that difficult 11th, made a bogey 12, 3-putted on 13, and missed a tap-in on 17 for par as well. So I think Justin Rose will be the man who's really kicking himself tonight, especially the amount of times he's gone close. But as you say, it's Augusta. They always say the back nine never the Masters never truly starts until the back nine on Sunday. And they were missing putts left, right, and centre, weren't they? And in the end, Rory McIlroy, until the 18th, did really look like the guy who knew how to get the job done. He looked like someone who'd been there before. And I think you could tell when he won, it wasn't that kind of outpouring of relief and the kind of uncontrollable tears that we had last year. This was just pure joy and someone who is done trying to kind of meet everyone else's expectations, and now he just wants to chase legacy and become the best golfer of his generation.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great tournament to watch. I mean, Tyrrell Hatton was brilliant as well, by the way. And from Rosie's point of view, I thought his second at the 7th, I think it was, from the Pine Straw, was possibly the shot of the tournament. Absolutely brilliant. But I'll tell you, Sean, I did think that Augusta was much more benign than it has been at times. And I thought that made for a better tournament.
Yeah, it did. On Thursday, it looks like we weren't going to get a double digits under par winner. I mean, Thursday was seriously spicy. And then it seemed to get slightly softer, especially on Friday afternoon. I think Scottie Scheffler was actually complaining about that in his press conference yesterday. He said it seemed a little bit easier for the guys who got the morning afternoon draw on Thursday and Friday. And of course, he was in the afternoon morning draw. But yeah, you could tell that it wasn't quite the challenge that we expected it to be. It was roasting hot at Augusta as well. They didn't have any rain. So that they could have made that really, really firm and fast. I mean, you're thinking of those kind of tournaments that barely finish under par. But in the end, I think you're right. It makes for more of a shootout. If people can chase the leaders, you saw Rory McIlroy had a record 36-hole lead, and they still managed to hunt him down because Augusta, it's risk reward. There's jeopardy out there. If you try and chase it, you can make doubles, but also there's eagles, there's birdies, and it makes for drama every single time.
Yeah, well, it certainly made for drama this time round, that is for sure. Sean, thanks very much indeed.
Sean.
Cheers, guys.
talkSPORT's golf reporter Sean O'Brien with us there. John said, here's my moan. All the talk there was about Spurs and not Sunderland and how we're pushing for Europe.
Yeah, good point.
But what do we expect from a monkey hanger in Jeff? Thank you, John. The Bobby bias is crazy. He's fouled all game, every game, because he's that strong and he never gets the decision. So I'll tell you what, he is one hand.
He's a
double handful, for sure. And Sunderland, yeah, they're 2 points off sixth place at the moment. Bobby was excellent. So was Mukiele. And Siddiqui, I thought, was terrific as well. John, you're having a fantastic season. I hope you're loving it. Now, that was our look back at the Masters with Prostate Cancer UK. Sign up, remember, to the Big Golf Race Challenge. If you raise over 300 quid, you'll be entered into their prize draw to win a golfing holiday to Aphrodite Hills in Cyprus for you and three mates. Very nice indeed. Search Big Golf Race for all the details and T&Cs. Henry Winter joins us next.
Masters Review on talkSPORT with Prostate Cancer UK. Raise money, win prizes, and help save men's lives with every swing. Search the Big Golf Race now.
Robertson at Liverpool, Ellen the show, but here's a reminder of what Robertson achieved in his career. He'll leave Anfield after 9 years. 9 years, brilliant. Over 375 appearances and having won every trophy available. What about that for a career, Ray? Did you win everyone?
What's that, Al? What listening?
Robbo won 375 appearances.
Did he?
For Liverpool, and he's won every trophy available.
I didn't win the Champions League. That's the only one we was missing for us. We won League Cup. I won the League Cup, FA Cup, Premier League, Cup Winners' Cup. I think it was, UEFA Cup. Cup Winners' Cup was.
And he came with Maguire, didn't he, from Hull?
Who's another great player who's playing tonight? Who come from Hull? You get that? He's playing tonight. There's a clue for you. Another great signing.
Of course,
Bowen. He come from Hull City.
Of course, he did.
All the fantastic players who play for Hull. Who did I play for? Hull City.
I love the. Do you know the way he strikes the ball? He's hardly any backlift, but he is. He's deadly.
I can see Robertson going Celtic, though. Can you?
Yes, I think so.
Obviously, Tierney's still there as well, isn't he?
Tierney's had a great career. But I think the injuries caught up with him a little bit.
Yeah, quite.
But he still gives his 100%. And Andy Robbo, he's an East Kilbride boy, Celtic man, so maybe.
Great delivery from that left-hand side. Bombs on, decent defender as well. And I'm sure
Aguero, Solskjaer, Deeney, Watkins. Sure, you know all about those last-minute goals, but have you heard the one about the on-loan goalkeeper who saved his temporary employers from disappearing out the Football League and into almost certain financial oblivion? Back in 1999, Carlisle United, managed by Nigel Pearson, were fighting to stay in the Football League. Carlisle's finances were precarious with a capital P that season, leading to a scenario where, with 3 games to go, they had to ask the FA to sanction an emergency loan deal to bring in a goalkeeper. Swindon Town's Jimmy Glass arrived at the club. His efforts in his first 2 games earned the Cumbrians 2 draws. Those vital points meant that Carlisle went into their final game of the Division 3 season, now League 2, needing to beat mid-table Plymouth Argyle in front of their own fans and hope their relegation rival Scarborough didn't win against Peterborough at home. The game at the McCain Stadium finished 1-1, and with the same scoreline at Brunton Park deep into injury time, Scarborough's fans invaded the pitch en masse, believing their Football League status was secure, convinced they'd done enough to stay up. However, there'd be one more plot twist. Carlisle won a corner in the dying seconds, and up came Jimmy Glass. In one of those you couldn't make it up moments, Glass scored from a rebounded header and was promptly swamped by teammates and thousands of fans who quite simply couldn't believe what they'd just witnessed. As for Jimmy Glass, he became an overnight celebrity, but he never played for Carlisle again, and his playing career never really kicked on after that defining moment. He took on various jobs outside of football before finding his way back into the sport as player liaison officer at Eddie Howe's Bournemouth, and most recently the general manager at non-league Wimbledon. Not the fairy tale ending to one of the most Hollywood moments in football, but the name Jimmy Glass will live on forever as the scorer of that goal, arguably the most important in any club's history.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark. Shop the upgrade event today and get an extra £500 when you part exchange your car. Don't miss your chance to boost your valuation. I'm Jeff Sterling. Andy Townsend is with me right through until 10 o'clock this morning. Well, the stage now set for a huge title showdown at the Etihad on Sunday. Here's what City boss Pep Guardiola had to say about that ahead of the clash.
Well, we have 7 days, so prepare mentally. The game will be beat Arsenal once is difficult. They prove it all the season. Beating twice in a margin of 3 weeks is even more difficult. So, but we play at home. It's a final. Relax and focus on what we have to do to beat through the game, not to the what happens if you win, if you lose. Everybody knows it. So you have to talk about how you have to do, and a team that defend well, the duels, the long balls, the set pieces, and 1,000 million things that they do brilliantly this season that make so far the best team in England. Numbers are there, and the best team in Europe. Numbers are there, so it's unbeaten in Champions League, so nobody beat us. So this is the team we're going to face. So have a huge respect, and I promise you, I have a 3 radios here in front of me. Did you bet before Arsenal? You bet £1 before the Carabao Cup for us instead to Arsenal? No chance. You are thinking Arsenal is going to win.
Joining us now is writer, broadcaster, and co-host of the Sunday edition, Henry Winter. Morning, Henry.
Morning, Jeff. Morning, Andy. How are we?
Good, Henry. Thank you.
Yeah, really good. Looking forward to Sunday, obviously. I just wonder whether the pressure has sort of changed, if you like, now, Henry, that people seemingly are expecting Manchester City to win the game and maybe go on to win the league. And the pressure maybe, or the expectation rather, is less on Arsenal now.
Well, they didn't look like they were playing with too much pressure yesterday. You look at the way Ryan Cherky was taking the ball with his assists. You look at the way that Mark Gahey was playing. What a signing he's been for them. Jeremy Doku back in form and fitness, certainly in the second half. Out on the left, Semenyo on the right. And you look at the sort of work rate of Erling Haaland. Even when he's not scoring, he's dropping back and sort of helping out. And Nico O'Reilly from left back as well. I mean, they're playing with a freedom and a sort of released handbrake that Arsenal kind of need at the moment. So I take your point, but just listening to your clip with Pep there, the respect that he showed for Arsenal, but also building up his players as well. He's a master at these. You know, they very rarely lose in April. I think they've had one loss in the last sort of 5 years in the Premier League in April. So, you know, he's like sort of a trainer or a jockey at the Grand National. He knows when to time his run to the finishing line.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Henry, they got a lot of very important business midweek, Arsenal.
Yeah, honestly, that's such an important point. I mean, that they want to go through there and actually play with a little bit more of the confidence in the Premier League as they showed it out at Sporting Lisbon. So look, Arsenal have got the players, but look, as we saw with the golf yesterday, so much of this, and Andy, you played at the highest level. So much of it is in the mind, and Arsenal need to sort of regain that confidence. They've got good players there. I mean, 3 of them could win the World Cup. They've got 2 Spaniards, Saliba as well, that will be in contention right at the World Cup. Got Declan Rice, who's a contender for Footballer of the Year. They got Max Dowman, who's sort of studying for his GCSEs and doesn't look like he's got a care in the world. Maybe they could use him a little bit more. I think it actually comes down to the manager now with Arsenal, just to sort of release that almost like tension and almost fear that's inhibiting some of their play.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you said that Man City are playing with the handbrake off. You could certainly argue that Arsenal are still playing with the handbrake on, and that the players are being affected by anxiety, which should be natural, wouldn't it, after what they've been through in recent seasons?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good point. And I think the anxiety is also amongst the fans as well. I mean, just talking to Arsenal fans, everyone was talking about the quadruple. Not many Arsenal fans were, certainly not the sort of the match-going fans. For Arsenal fans, it's always been about the title this season. It's always been about the 22 years since that great Invincibles team to be the best in the country, and then you build towards Europe. Obviously, they're doing fantastically in the Champions League, but it's all been about that. And you can understand the anxiety of the fans, but it's down to Arteta to set the tone of a fearlessness, whether it's in the dugout, being sort of almost less of a sort of, it looks like he's got St. Vitus dance, the way he's sort of dancing around in the dugout, also in press conferences, and also just, you know, stop a little bit of this sort of overplaying and over possession at the back, get the ball forward more, because anyone who knows the best way to bring the best out of Gyökeres is that ball in behind. Just let him muscle in behind and go one-on-one with the keeper. So, yeah, I agree with you. A little bit more handbrake off with Arsenal.
Yeah. Let's move on, Henry, to Spurs. What did you make of the De Zerbi performance up at Sunderland?
Well, I thought Sunderland were terrific. I mean, there are two sides to every game, two sides to every story, and you've got to give Sunderland huge credit. Again, fearless, good recruitment. Sunderland don't only buy good players, they buy good characters, and that's something that Tottenham Hotspur are going to have to look at. If you've got a player like Christian Romero, I mean, you think of the players. I mean, Andy, you'll have played against them, some of the players down the years. You know, Gary Mabbott, players like that, going back to Danny Blanchflower, the lead at Steve Perryman, the leaders that they've had. Romero's not a proper leader. You wouldn't want him in a sort of dogfight that they're in at the moment, because he gets sent off. Obviously, he got injured yesterday, and the image of him sort of crying is kind of sums up the leadership at Tottenham Hotspur at the moment, on the pitch and off the pitch. They don't have enough leaders, and that has to be addressed through recruitment.
Yeah, I mean, I felt a bit for De Zerbi yesterday because he did try and change things around, didn't he? He played the three. Whatever you think of them, Richarlison and Solanke and Kolomwani as well. And he went for pure energy in midfield. What always strikes me is in the absence of Kulusevski, in the absence of Maddison, there is nobody who can unlock opposition defences.
Yeah, that's a really good point, particularly Kulusevski, who's been so important for them. And, you know, whether he plays off the right or whether he plays more as a 10, he does have that ability to sort of thread those passes through, that energy, that work rate as well. But I do think it's a question of leadership. It is a question of, it's down to the players. Tottenham at the moment are facing relegation because of the lack of leadership in players. You look at the players, you know, you look at Manchester City players, those who are taking responsibility. You look at the Sunderland players against Spurs, who went out there and took responsibility. Granit Xhaka, there might have been an extra element because of his Arsenal connections, but he's a leader. Tottenham, apart from Archie Gray, really, don't have enough leaders, and that's something that recruitment has got to look at, and it may well be an issue that they're going to have to find to get their way out of the Championship, which is also a dogfight. And how many of those players, these Romeros that have let them down throughout the season, are actually going to stay for next season if they do go down?
Yeah, interesting. Henry, thank you very much
Great
indeed.
stuff, Henry.
Have a great week, guys.
Jeff, just quickly, we've heard that word leaders said so many times this morning. Where are they? Why are we not then creating any of these guys? One of the things a lot of clubs do nowadays is they have these leadership groups where there's half a dozen voices apparently that sit down and discuss things or problems, issues that arise within the camp. What a lot of rubbish that is. Honestly, get rid of that, guys. We want to start creating a few more leaders. Get rid of that and have a voice and have one person that maybe goes to the manager with an issue or a problem or a complaint about what's going on. I don't agree with all these. You have too many voices then. You don't have a definite one. I would get rid of, I'd ban that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, completely right. And when we're talking about leaders, I know in terms of Sunderland as a football club, Luke O'Nien is one of those. And it's great to see him getting his chance yesterday in the Premier League. Because he's been a great servant of the club, and boy, did he take it. And while we're talking, by the way, about Arsenal against Bournemouth, I just want to touch on Bournemouth for a second. Outstanding. Great. Absolutely outstanding. Brilliantly coached. I thought on the day, Truffer, Senesi and Alex Scott were brilliant.
Good player.
Absolutely brilliant.
Good player.
Morning, Jeff and Andy, says Guy in Worcester. Is Lincolnshire just one massive pothole then? Because Worcestershire, Herefordshire and Warwickshire can definitely give them a run for their money. How many counties are there in England? We're going to get every single
Gloucestershire,
county.
Jeff. I tell you, don't go near Gloucestershire if you've got nice wheels and low-profile tyres.
Avoid it. Avoid Hampshire as well. We're going to get every county named now, aren't we? Don't forget, you can hear if Arsenal can recover from this weekend when they take on Sporting Lisbon on Wednesday. It's live on talkSPORT from 8. Coming up, we'll ask whether elite heavyweight boxing has morphed into WWE.
Ethan and Werry, and Miles Lewis Skelly this summer, and we're talking about maybe 100 million for the pair. That's too much, surely.
Well, no, I mean they're great prospects, aren't they?
100 mil for
Skelly's probably just he's not had a great time lately. He's just fell away from that first team a little bit. He's got a lot of people in front of him at the moment. And Capio, who's come in, he's done a really good job on that left hand side. You've got Calafiori as well. So I feel for him a little bit because you're a young player. You went through that little bit of stage where your form ain't great. A lot has happened in his career very quickly, Al. I mean, scoring a goal for England, playing for your country at a young age. So it might have just caught up with him a little bit, but he's just got to keep working hard and see where it takes him. Waineri's on loan at the moment, but he's a top player as well. A really, really
and you're really
great
happy
talent.
with young Max, aren't you?
Oh, Max he's doing different class. 16. People forget he's only 16. It's amazing. He changed the game. He changed the game when he come on against Everton. He looked like...
And was getting back and helping out.
Yeah, and he scored that first goal. As I said before, his family must have been so proud to watch him, has gone through the ranks and all that. And he's a really good, grounded young kid. So he's going to be a real prospect. Look, things can go wrong still, as in football. You know what it's like. Al, you had a poor injury, didn't you, yourself?
Yeah.
Injuries can affect you.
A gradual injury.
But I think the technology now is a lot better from when you was around, I should imagine. But he's got everything going for him. He's just got to keep working hard, and he's going to make a difference as well. And he's a real talent. Absolutely, could be one of the best players ever.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling. Andy Townsend is with me. Competition time now, a big one. 2 tickets for the Wimbledon Lawn Tennis Championships on Monday, July the 6th. Up for grabs. You'll be watching the world's best from official Wimbledon debenture seats on centre court. Believe me, it's a fantastic experience. You'll also have exclusive debenture lounge access throughout the day. The perfect place to soak up the atmosphere between matches. For your chance to win, text the word WIN, just W-I-N, to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate. Or you can call 0343 418 7260. Lines close on Thursday at 4 p.m. That's when you will need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus, UK residents only. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. So for your chance to win those Wimbledon tickets, text WIN to 83338. Do it right now. Right, it's time now for this.
I started singing Bye Bye Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old...
Oh man, Don McLean with one of the all-time great songs. I've no idea why we're playing it, but Olivia can tell us. Hi, Olivia.
Hello. What a banger that is, by the way.
Great tune, isn't it?
Oh, I have this thing where I can't, I wouldn't ever be able to tell you who sings it, but I know all the words to the song.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about me. We did a little quiz earlier.
Right.
Nick played 5 songs, and they're 5 classics. I could sing all the words to every one.
Yeah. Well, he
didn't have a
he had more than one classic. Vincent was the
Vincent was the other
real
one.
classic.
Very
Have a
good.
clue.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tyson Fury is why we're playing it. Obviously, his return to the ring on Netflix came against Makhmudov on Saturday night, a fight that we didn't really have any concerns, but I suppose it was all about what happened after, when he called out Anthony Joshua, who was sat ringside. Let's have a little listen about what they had to say.
After the fight, you all saw what happened. I never mentioned Anthony Joshua in the whole build-up or since his accident. I've given him his respect that he deserves and his space. But tonight, he come here for the job, and I asked him to do the fight, and he should have got in there and did it, but he didn't give an answer. He didn't. To my opinion, he didn't want no smoke. He didn't look like he wanted. He was just shell-shocked, didn't know what to say. If it was me, I'd have jumped in that ring, faced off, let's get it on. 10 years in the making, and still, after all this time, there's still uncertainty about if this fight's going to happen next. Do I want it? Yes. I'm not interested in up-and-comers. I'm not interested in them at all. What have I got to prove in fighting some schoolboys in the division? I want to fight Anthony Joshua. He's the same age as me. 2 British boxing legends. Let's not run away from it. Let's fight. Let's get it on. I want to fight Anthony Joshua. Here's the thing. If it ain't Anthony Joshua next, I'm not interested in boxing. It's either him or I'm gone again. I don't care about rankings. I don't care about belts. I only care now about AJ, that fight. That's the defining fight for British boxing.
Yes, that was Tyson Fury talking. Did you mind all of that? You know, calling out AJ. AJ's response was a little bit weird, wasn't it? So on the back page of The Sun, it's all about this AJ fight and why it maybe hasn't happened. But AJ said, I punched you up when we were kids. After watching you tonight, I'd do it again. When you're ready, you tell me your conditions and I'll tell you when I'm ready. I'm the landlord. Remember that you work for me. Do you mind all of that, Andy? Do you like all of that?
Listen, I'll be honest with you. I think both of these guys have passed their best. Would I watch the fight? Yes, of course I would. I think there would be incredible amount of interest around this particular fight, and I do think it should happen. There's been so much hype and so much talk about it for far too long. It never happened when they were both probably absolutely at the peak of their powers. Well, they might as well get it on now. I'd rather it now than in a couple of years' time when they're well beyond it. So yeah, I would absolutely live. I would definitely love to see that one happen, and I'm sure after the way that Tyson Fury called out Anthony Joshua, I'm sure it will be announced reasonably soon.
I wonder what makes AJ think he's the landlord. I don't understand that at all. Well, maybe he's going to call time on Fury's career. I had no idea. And with Andy, look, it's 5 years, minimum 5 years too late. Yeah. This is not the Clash of the Gladiators that it would once have been. It's pretty much, I think, and I'm not a boxing aficionado, that they don't really have anywhere to go. I mean, AJ's had one fight in, 18 months? It wasn't a proper fight either, because it was against Jake Paul. Yep. So, yeah, I'm with Andy. I would watch it as well, but I don't think Fury proved anything very much at the weekend. Do we need the fight? Yeah, probably just because we don't want to be talking about it for another 10 years.
Yeah, it's one of those fights that they first signed contracts to meet in the summer of 2021. So like we say, 5 years ago, that'd have been peak Fury and peak AJ. That is when we would have wanted to see it. But the Court of Arbitration said that Fury had to fight Deontay Wilder. He then knocked him out. But then AJ was forced to face his mandatory and Alexander Usyk, which we know then he lost. And then 2022, it looked like it might happen again. But then it seems to collapse at the contract stages. A financial situation seemed to be sorted, but they couldn't agree. Then Fury went to beat Chisora. Fury lost to Usyk again. And then obviously Joshua lost to Daniel Dubois. So we're sort of, I think, Jeff, you're right in that, yes, the world still wants to see AJ Fury. And Fury coming out and saying that if he doesn't fight AJ next, he's not interested. That is because what are the other alternatives?
Yeah. It's a very it is a good point. You know, years ago, I remember when it was Ali and he'd fight Frazier or George Foreman, Ken Norton. They were all out there putting these fights on. I know there are more belts nowadays, and there are more versions of the heavyweight title to be won. But years ago, everyone got in there against the very best that was available at that time, and it's a shame it never happened when it should have. So I wouldn't delay it if I were these two guys. I think everybody would like to see it. I think the hype around it will be significant. It will be massive. None of them want to fight Moses Itoma.
That's what I was going to say.
And I don't blame them for that for 1 minute, because he'll spark the pair of them.
At the same time.
But I would definitely like to see this fight, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the question, I think, is, if AJ did take on this fight, surely he'd need another fight before that. And
is that all he's had, the Jake Paul fight in the
18 months?
18 months. Wow,
Well,
it's a long time.
And also, it's also not long. That awful car crash that, took the lives of two of his closest friends was the end of the year. We're only in April. So then you think, I suppose timing's everything in boxing as well. Like you say, AJ will want to get in the ring before Fury. Then what's Fury going to do whilst Joshua's doing that? Is he going to want to get in the ring before they fight again? So I think it's going to be interesting. I think it will happen. If anyone can make it happen, Turki Al-Sheikh can. His Excellency will do everything to make that happen. If I had to ask you now,
who'd
Fury versus AJ in the form that they're both in, based off of what we've seen from Fury in this fight, because really that's all we have to go on. Where would your money be as it stands right now, Andy?
That's a very good shout, because I don't think Tyson has the punch necessarily. Maybe at the end of a fight to knock AJ over. But I'd probably go just Fury.
Would you?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I would go Fury as well.
Would you?
Yeah. Olivia, thank you very much indeed. Dan, the Spurs fan, says, morning, lads. Unfortunately, Spurs have not got a leader. Christian Romero is a complete waste of space and a bad influence on the side. Coming next, could Eddie Howe be tempted to walk away from Newcastle at the end of the season?
Pep Guardiola has been speaking today about his team's tendency to finish season strongly.
Hopefully we can do a lot of points. It's at the situation that we are in the Premier League, so we need to do all of them. Otherwise we will not give us a chance to try it until the end. So we need to do a lot of points. We were not consistent enough during the season. We dropped points that we should take it, and that's why we're in the position that now we cannot do it differently.
He also talked a little bit about on whether he feels more excited at this time of the year. No, he says, I have a lot of yellow cards. That means how excited I am. Not just for April, but during the season, I have had a good energy, and I still have good energy. You get the feeling that he thinks that there's still a chance that they can catch them.
I think they're probably going to have to win every game to do it. We were just working it out there on Gabby's crib sheet. They've got 8 games left. They're on 61 points. So if they win every game, they get to 85. That would mean that Arsenal on 70 need 5 wins from their last 7 games. If they win every game, Manchester City, they've got a squeak, especially as they play Arsenal. But they have no margin for error. And I actually agree with Gabby. We all think Chelsea will lose on Sunday, but it might be a more difficult task than we think. Remember, they went with the under-21.
Boxing. It's a sport that makes multi-millionaires out of the world's best fighters, but it's not as flush with cash as you'd think. We all see how much the likes of Tyson Fury or Canelo Alvarez make every fight, but that's not the case for those just starting out, or those who aren't even at that level. For example, if you've just turned pro and don't have a promoter, you have to sell your own tickets, cover the cost of the venue yourself, and pay the tax man at the end of it. You might not even break even, but if you do, you're looking at 5 to 10 grand max. A mid-tier fighter might make more like 10 to 50 grand, but you still have to give up half of that in costs. So unless you're fighting for a world title, it's tough to make money. One potential way of doing it, though, is being a journeyman. Here's former European champion talkSPORT's Spencer Oliver explaining how that could work.
They want to fight every week, and they can be going in against the prospects, so they can demand good money, and they might be demanding like $5,000, $10,000 for a 6-rounder or something because they're going in with a prospect. He gets through that, the journeyman gets through that fight, and he can fight again next week.
I mean, even so, it's not much, and you're getting punched in the face for a job. It's only really at the top level, i.e. fighting for titles, where you're earning up to 6 figures and can afford a diamond chain or that Ferrari. So boxing isn't a sport that allows you to retire at 40 and live a life of luxury. Much like a lot of other sports and jobs in general, it takes an awful lot of luck quite early in your career to really make it worth your while.
Good morning, it's 7:34. This is talkSPORT Breakfast, Monday, April the 13th. We're, of course, with Arnold Clark. Buy a used car, get a free 2-year service plan and an extra £500 when you part exchange. Shop the upgrade event today. I'm Jeff Stelling. Andy Townsend's with me. For the rest of the morning, we're here right through until 10 o'clock. Now, after a big win in Europe in midweek, Crystal Palace came from behind for another important victory at Selhurst Park.
Arteta running up to it against Ramsdale, and he hits it into the corner. Ramsdale went the right way. Crystal Palace turn it around with just moments of the game remaining. Mateta's second, Palace's second, Crystal Palace 2, Newcastle 1.
Yes, so Jean-Philippe Mateta very much back in favour with the fans. Big questions being asked of Newcastle, though, who dropped yet more points. Eddie Howe's men have lost more points from winning positions than anyone else in the league this season, 25 in total. Here's what both managers had to say about the game yesterday afternoon.
It was no secret he wanted to leave the club, but I think that's everybody's decision, so everybody can decide about his job. So at the end, it's his job. But as soon as it was clear that he had to stay, he came and said, "I will work so hard to come back and be fit and helping the team, winning games, helping to achieve all our goals."
Never had that sort of feeling before where you're leading the game but you feel vulnerable. We do at the moment. 20 minutes to go in that game. With historical sort of performances, we would have seen that game out, but we're not able to do that at the moment. We're lacking some maturity in our play. I don't know whether we want to win so much and we're desperate to do so that it's working against us. We don't know whether we're playing the scoreline and not the game.
18 goals they've conceded in the last 15 minutes of games. Andy, how would you explain that?
And you know, there's nothing worse, Jeff, as Eddie just said there. When you go in front, and they've done this, you just mentioned that stat, the amount of times they've been in front this season and they've let leads go and points have gone away. Really, really frustrating, because look, if you're continually going behind in matches, you can turn around and start to identify defensive issues that you might want to tighten up on, and first of all start from a clean sheet and then see if you can build from there. When you're getting into winning positions and then all of a sudden you're conceding, as they've done a lot recently, Sunderland, Barcelona, City, and then Palace again. You know, just in the last half a dozen games they've done that, and that is very difficult, I think, sometimes to cure. As he said, lacking maturity in their play. Probably what he's meaning by that is when you are in front and when you are vulnerable and seemingly are conceding bad goals, well, then you don't play in the wrong areas, you don't invite trouble, you don't concede cheap corners, you don't concede cheap free kicks in wide areas where people can load it in under the bar and potentially score against you. Sometimes you can be better in those sort of moments. But I think it's really difficult when you're getting in front in games, can't get that second goal, can't give yourself the bit of daylight you need, and then you leak one, all of a sudden the pressure comes on massive. And there's a lot of noise around Eddie. I still think Eddie has done a very, very solid job at Newcastle, I do, but starting to feel like that the ball is kind of rolling a little bit in the wrong direction now, and it's gaining a bit of speed.
Yeah. Well, look, it's been an extremely disappointing season, no question. Let's bring in a man who today has labelled this current Newcastle team mentality minnows. It's a very good morning to the chief football reporter of the Mail, Craig Howe. Morning, Craig.
Morning, Craig.
Morning, Jeff. Morning, Andy.
So what do you mean by mentality minnows, Craig?
First things first, as a journalist, this football team are a nightmare to cover. Rewrite United, we're calling them, because you can never be sure that the scoreline you see in front of you on 75 minutes is the one you're going to see in the following day's newspaper. But to go back to that phrase, mentality minnows, it speaks, of course, to the Jurgen Klopp words, mentality monsters about his Liverpool team. And 3 or 4 years ago, this is exactly what we were saying about Newcastle too. They were the team everybody loved to hate. They could employ the dark arts. There was a nastiness. There was a naughtiness. There was street smarts. They knew how to get a result over the line in whichever way they had to do it. That's gone now. When they take the lead, it's almost like a softness emerged. There's a weakness there. Those 25 points they've surrendered from winning positions now. I know it doesn't necessarily work like this, but if they are added to their tally, it would have them second in the Premier League. What does that tell you? The starting setup is there, the tactics, the strategy, the game plan to go and win a match, what they're doing in preparation, everything is there to go and take them to victory. As soon as they go in front, there is this fragility, a vulnerability. Eddie Howe called it a lack of maturity. I go back to that word soft. You look at last time out against Sunderland, Brian Brobby, Sunderland's muscle-bound striker, he bullied them. Newcastle yesterday weren't necessarily cruising to victory, but they're in a strong position at 1-0. On comes Jean-Philippe Mateta, and the whole mood and momentum inside Selhurst Park changes. And that's because Newcastle looked at him and they looked scared. Come full time, Mateta scored 2 goals. Newcastle have come back to that word again. They've been bullied, and there is a softness there. There is a vulnerability that wasn't there previously, and that's what Eddie Howe speaks to.
Craig, did Eddie make any changes at 1-0, or certainly when Palace got back in at 1-1? What was the response from the bench from Newcastle at that point?
Yeah, well, when Mateta came on, I think Dan Burn is the one out of the 3 centre-halves that he had available to him yesterday who would invite that personal duel, who would engage with the physicality of Mateta. Dan Burn stayed on the bench. Now, in theory, you look at Sven Botman, 6'4", and Malik Chow, 6'3", both very good players, experienced players. Chow's had a fantastic season. They should be able to handle that threat. But perhaps in the last 2, we've just learned a little bit about their mentality as 2 centre-halves. Perhaps they can be intimidated. For me, Dan Burn perhaps should have came on in that instance. There was young Louis Miley in midfield who had a good game, but it was his first game back. Adam Wharton had come on. He was starting to dictate as well. So perhaps changes should have been made. But Andy, this is twofold. We're talking about Newcastle's inability to defend a lead. There's also the other side of the coin. When you go 1-0 in front, go and score a second goal, and all of these points Newcastle have coughed up have come from a 1-goal winning position. There's one way to protect the lead. Go and make it 2 goals. Go and make it 3 goals. At 1-0 yesterday, Newcastle only had 1 shot on target. Eddie Howe afterwards spoke to us about his frustration, his irritation, his team at times almost refusing to shoot. And that is the other side of it too. They've got to be better in attack, not just defence.
Yeah. I mean, Craig, you look at the signings, Wissa, Elanga, Voltemada, Ramsey. They all started on the bench yesterday. None of them have really come off. Chances of playing in Europe next season beginning to fade. I know the fans were chanting Eddie Howe's name yesterday, but how significant are the doubts over his future there?
Well, there is doubt, but I think there was a little bit of misinterpretation last week. We had the audience with David Hopkinson, the CEO, were in the boardroom to go through the club accounts. And yeah, never have a set of numbers been so exciting, because all of the headlines we had on the back of it was St James's Park has been sold to the ownership. 1 or 2 star names could go this summer. And the big one to emerge from it was, the doubt over Eddie's future. And that was because when David Hopkinson was pressed on it, he didn't say a great deal. But when I say misinterpretation, some of the headlines to come from it were Eddie has 7 games to save his job. It's not that at all. Eddie still does have the support of the hierarchy within St James's Park, of the ownership too. I think it's more a case of Eddie himself and everybody just taking a look at the situation, and they're gonna take stock at the end of the year. And I think that's right, because Newcastle now, like Aston Villa to a degree, because of PSR, because of these financial parameters, they are trapped in this wave pattern almost. When you look at the success Eddie Howe has brought to Newcastle in the last 4.5 years, just go back to last season, a Carabao Cup, first domestic trophy in 70 years, qualifying for the Champions League, despite only making signings in one of the previous 5 transfer windows. It really was a miracle that Eddie Howe has taken Newcastle this far, the job he's done, yet the message is still they're going to have to sell their best players this summer. Because of all of that, because of that unknown, because of that uncertainty, is it a case of more Eddie Howe looking at the situation and thinking, not has he taken Newcastle as far as he can in terms of a better manager than me comes in and takes them to the next level? I think it's more just a case of, has this journey reached its natural conclusion? I still don't think so. I still think Eddie will gather himself and want to go again in the summer. I think he should be the man. I think he deserves the chance to do that, but there is an element of doubt.
Yeah, interesting times. I mean, I think that we got a text from Simon, who's a Toon fan. He said, difficult summer for Eddie. The sporting director left. There was the Isak situation. As a result, panic buys, boardroom restructuring. Eddie Howe deserves another settled summer to turn it around. And I think most people would probably agree with that.
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Look, brilliant. Thank you very much, Craig.
Nice one, Craig. Thanks.
Cheers, guys.
It's interesting, Jeff, isn't it, Newcastle? Look, there's no divine right to a top 6 spot. When you look at the teams that are in there, in those positions, and the money those teams have parted with to try and get into the top 4. Obviously, we've got a top 5 nowadays, or for this season, we've got a top 5 that's definitely going to be qualifying for the Champions League. But Newcastle, I don't see them as despite what Eddie's done, I don't see him guaranteed to get into anything like the top 4, top 5. I just don't think they're at that level yet.
No, I think another thing to take into account here is that with Newcastle's European commitment and the fact they've done okay in cup competitions as well, fatigue is a factor here. They played 52 games this season. Compare that with Manchester United, who played 33.
Wow.
Or Sunderland, even if you like, local rivals, 36. 52 games.
Yeah, that's massive.
Yeah, and I know people will say, look, 52 games of professional footballers. I get that completely. Yep. But fatigue does take its toll. Look, I've got some shocking news coming in from Sweden. Well, we followed the fortunes of the village side Mjölby on their way to their first ever title last season. And George has reminded me this morning, he said, morning, fellas. Jeff, our Mjölby have not had the best start to the season. I think it's time for the manager to go. You are right. The champions played 2, lost 2, scored none, conceded 5. Come on, boys. Pull your Swedish fingers out. What's going on? Mjölby rock bottom of the Swedish league at the moment. Right, still to come on breakfast.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Doing what matters for the trade. Find your local branch at travisperkins.co.uk.
It all seems to be going wrong for the greatest side ever.
I'm asking myself, who's going to beat us? Who in world football? Who in world? I'm serious. Who in world football right now is going to beat us? We are the best squad. We are the best squad assembled in the history of world club football.
Well, he's put his foot firmly in his mouth. As something that he's used to doing. That is for sure. The views of Piers Morgan. I wonder if he still thinks that. Arsenal fans, is the squad a bunch of nearly men? Will you always be the bridesmaid? Never the bride? We want to know your thoughts. 03717 2233 44. That was our breakfast preview with our friends at Travis Perkins.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Bricks on bricks on bricks. Over 40 million available to order with delivery to site. That's one less thing to worry about.
I mean, who's left there now? Only Alisson, Van Dijk. I think that's probably it, isn't it?
Just on Andy Robertson, do you think he'll stay in the Premier League?
I think he can.
Yeah.
I think he can. I think they're.
I'd have him at Tottenham. I wish we got him.
Well, you were linked with him in January, weren't you?
Yeah.
You know, and that the right was. It's not the biggest surprise in the world, is it? That he's leaving.
No, it's not a surprise.
What
but
happened in January?
It made us, think about left backs, right?
Yeah.
You think about the great left backs of the Premier League, and where does he rank?
So when I was outside with Ryan, the producer, and then Ryan said there was a period where he was the best left back in the world, and I went, "What? What you on about? Best left back in the world?" And he said he's best in the top 3 of the Premier League, and I'm like, I'm not sure he is. And then you look at the names that you think, you know what? Actually, maybe he is in this conversation.
I think he is. Look, Ashley Cole, for me, obviously, yes, he's the greatest.
He's out on his own.
He's out on his own. And then after that, you look at the other left-backs. They're at Patrice Evra.
In terms of numbers, let me just tell you now, Andy Robertson's Premier League appearances, 373. 13 goals, 69 assists. Now, that is insane for a fullback. Trent's numbers aren't dissimilar from what I can gather.
Yeah.
I haven't got them, but just looking at left-backs here. He outstrips, John Arisa has 30, but he is... The closest to him is Ashley Cole on 31. That's the closest. He's got 69.
Yeah, I think he's in the top 3 greatest Premier League left backs.
Well, yeah, go on. Who's the other one then?
Patrice Evra and Ashley Cole.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm old school, but for me, I'm putting Stuart Pearce in there.
Good morning, 7:51, Monday, April the 13th. This is talkSPORT Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling. Andy Townsend is with me. Headlines this Monday morning. Rangers came from behind to beat Falkirk in a 9-goal thriller as they moved back to within a point of Hearts in the Scottish Premiership title race. Celtic also winners at the weekend. Elsewhere, front page of The Sun, JT buys United. No, not that United. Chelsea legend John Terry is the latest name to buy a football club. He's actually joined a consortium to purchase the League Two side Colchester United. And Rory McIlroy repeated last year's heroics to retain the green jacket. And another historic Masters triumph after becoming only the 4th man to defend a Masters title. A visibly moved McIlroy reflected on the immense pressure of his emotional Sunday at Augusta.
I thought it was so difficult to win last year because of trying to win the Masters and the Grand Slam, and then this year I realised it's just really difficult to win the Masters. I tried to convince myself it was both, but yeah, just incredible. You know, I obviously did the bulk of my work on Thursday and Friday, and you know, I don't think I would have believed anyone if they said to me, you know, all you have to do is shoot even par for the weekend and you'll win. Absolutely delighted to be able to get it done. You know, having a 6-shot lead going into the weekend, it would have been a bitter pill to swallow if I wasn't able to get myself over the finish line.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant for Rory. Right. Back-to-back Masters. Justin Rose, another great performance. Tyrrell Hatton. As well, was a great 4 days for the Europeans.
Brilliant, Jeff. Do you know, Rory, when down the stretch, when when things, when it looked like he was in pole position again. Do you know what I really admired and I liked about what he did, Jeff? He kept getting the driver out the bag, which he'd been putting that driver.
Yeah,
he'd been putting it in the trees a bit, and he'd been having to perform miracles here and there, but he kept doing what he believed is the right way for him to go about it. He didn't start having doubts in his head and taking irons here and 3 woods there. He kept getting that driver out and smashing it as far as he could, and it worked for him. And it was just an astonishing achievement and such compulsive viewing, isn't it? Watching them.
Oh yeah,
you literally can't
brilliant
drag yourself
tournament.
away from it.
And that's the great thing about the golf majors. 4 days where it just builds and builds and builds.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Gorinda's texted, he said, "Lovely to have you back, Jeff. What are your views on Leicester? I was feeling a bit teary after the game against Swansea. It looks like League One is looming. Absolute embarrassment and shame. Players need to fight and put up 100%. And we're going to talk more about Leicester City, Gorinda, because it's time right now to take a look at the latest EFL action in partnership with McDonald's.
EFLers on talkSPORT with McDonald's. Got big McDonald's hunger? Order delivery on the McDonald's app today. From 11 a.m, 18 plus. Fees apply to delivery orders. Subject to availability. Price may vary.
It's hard to imagine, Andy, isn't it? But the team that gave us, or the club that gave us Jamie Vardy and N'Golo Kante and Riyad Mahrez, are 4 points off safety in the Championship after losing at home to Swansea. And that was compounded by wins at the weekend for Oxford and for Portsmouth. I mean, their record is amazing. Champions in 2016, quarterfinals in the Champions League 2017, 5th in the Premier League above Arsenal in 2021, 5 years ago. FA Cup winners 2021, now facing third level of football. And when a team is spiralling downwards like this, it's very difficult to stop.
Yep.
Gary Rowett's finding exactly that.
Yeah, very, very difficult to stop. And everything, the crazy part about Leicester is everything has kind of been in place. I've been there during that amazing title-winning season, which was quite incredible going there and witnessing the atmosphere of the ground and the way that they went about it. And again, they had a lot of very good players at that time that were all on the up, and they had some really solid, the Wes Morgans and the Robert Hoos, and solid campaigners as well that have been around the block a few times. And then all of a sudden, Jeff, again, you lose that bit of momentum, you lose that bit of direction, and all of a sudden you can find yourself very quickly in a mess. And that is what they are at the moment. It's a mess. I've seen Mark Albrighton a few times at Villa over the last couple of months, and Mark was part of that title-winning Leicester team, and I know that he still goes down there, and he said, it's incredible to see where they are now compared to just a short few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, Gary Rowett's only had 10 games in charge, 1 win in those 10 games. There's speculation about his future already. I think for him and for the club, they're away at Portsmouth next Saturday, and that is an absolute must-win as far as Leicester are concerned. I mean, it's still in the Championship. Ipswich, big win at Norwich to go second. Southampton, they beat Derby. They're unbeaten in 17 games in all competitions. What an effort that is. And Hull City's Ollie McBurney's been making a headline or two. They lost at Sheffield United. He afterwards accused referee of John Brooks of not really understanding football. So he's just really saying what every football fan thinks about referees, not John Brooks in particular. In League One, Cardiff, 10 points clear of third after their win over 4th place Bolton, so they're almost there. Near the bottom, Northampton's loss at Wigan means they've got 1 point out of 30, and they are, to all intents and purposes, relegated. Lee Clark still looking for his first win as Rotherham manager. As well, they're 13 points off safety.
How long's Clarkey been in there, Jeff?
He's only been there 4 games.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I back him to do well. He's a smashing lad, and he's been overlooked a lot for managerial jobs. But it looks like they're doomed this season, so the rebuild is going to have to start in League Two. Talking to League Two, Bromley lost at MK Dons, so they're still waiting to rubber stamp their promotion. They were behind in 35 seconds against the Dons, Nathaniel Mendes-Lang scoring that goal. I was at Boreham Wood on Saturday for the National League game. Boreham Wood 3, Hartlepool 0. I have to tell you, the Boreham Wood number 10, Abdul Malik, ran riot. What a player he looked. They're in the playoffs, on small crowds, limited budget.
How many there, Jeff? How many would have been there at the weekend?
Oh, 1,000 maybe, but a couple of hundred of them were ours. And no one will want to play them. Luke Garrard, he's a shrewd operator at that level. But look, I wanted to mention the National League because the automatic spot there is still undecided with 2 games left. Listen to this. York City, 104 points.
And
Rochdale, 102 points. So once again, a side with more than 100 points may not go up to the Football League on the basis that only one side is promoted. And by the way, the last game of the season, Rochdale against York City.
Do you think that's got to change? Do you think that's got to change?
Of course it's got to change. Of course it's got to change. Time and time again, sides go up from the National League and do brilliantly. A lot of them go straight through to the next level as well. York City in particular, I mean, you know, with no respect to Rochdale, done brilliantly, by the way. But York get big crowds too. I mean, a lot more than a lot of the sides in League Two and even League One get at the moment. So if they were not to go up, and they've made huge investment, by the way, let's make no bones about it. They spent a lot of money in a bid to get back to the Football League. If they don't go up, it'll be a disaster as far as the football club is concerned. But 104 and 102 points. Amazing. What a final day that's going to be, though. Rochdale against York. That was our EFL review, and that was all thanks to McDonald's.
EFLers on talkSPORT with McDonald's. Got big McDonald's hunger? Order delivery on the McDonald's app today. From 11 a.m, 18 plus. Fees apply to delivery orders. Subject to availability. Price may vary.
Morgan Rogers does seem to be doing it week in, week out, largely. 24 goals and 23 assists to his name since the start of last season. And he is expected to be at the centre of a £80 million transfer tug-of-war this summer. Why has this chatter started now? And
just 80?
Just, well...
I think they want a bit more than that. I was doing some inquiries this morning to see if he's got a release clause in his contract. Doesn't sound like he does. And I think Aston Villa are within their rights to ask for Jack Grealish type money for Morgan Rogers. And I think somebody will pay it. I think he is capable of going on to one of the top clubs in the country. But as Gabs has said, ideally Villa will want to keep him, but we know they're under financial pressure. More to do, I think, with the UEFA financial regulations than the Premier League ones, but it may be that they have to cash in, particularly if they don't make the
It would upset the manager.
June the 30th as well.
It would upset the manager because he's like his son. He's his favourite player. He plays every game. He's the last one to come off. He loves Morgan Rogers. You know, he brought him for £12 million from Middlesbrough, took a gamble on him, and I agree, £100 million.
It's now frustrating, isn't it? Because if you sell Morgan Rogers, you're sort of almost admitting that you're never really going to bridge that gap.
Financial fair play rules. I'll tell you something now, 100%. These owners want to win it all.
Yeah.
They've said that. The manager says he wants to dream. That's what I'm saying. He'll be so frustrated if he has to sell Rodgers because of financial fair play. If these rules were fair and you didn't have to sell a player to...
From the Toffees to the Tractor Boys, the Eagles to the Seagulls, Gunners, Bees, Hammers and Magpies, Premier League teams have got a load of crazy nicknames. Ever wondered where they came from? Let's start with Everton. They're dubbed the Toffees, but why? Well, because when the club was formed, just down the road there were two local toffee shops. Ye Ancient Everton Toffee House and Mother Noblet's Toffee Shop were big fan favourites. Next, they say if you can't beat them, join them, and that's exactly what Ipswich Town did when it came to their nickname. The term tractor boys used to be chanted by their opponents as a way of putting the team down for their farming background. But during one game back in the late 90s, Ipswich were 1-0 up and they decided to flip the script. 1-0 to the tractor boys, they sang, and a new nickname was born. Let's head to Leicester, famous for more than just a red, well, orangey cheese and Jamie Vardy. Leicestershire is also the birthplace of fox hunting, hence the Foxes. Next up, turns out apples are not the only fruit that don't fall far from the tree. Bournemouth's nickname, the Cherries, comes from the fact the club's stadium was originally built right next to a bunch of cherry orchards. This next story actually involves two club nicknames. It started with Crystal Palace. They were having an absolute nightmare run back in the early 70s. They'd been relegated after a terrible spell and manager Malcolm Allison decided enough was enough. He wanted a new nickname, something strong, fast and destined for success. Something exactly like an eagle. But there's more to this one. Brighton were in search of a nickname too, and Palace finally gave them what they needed. In a heated match between the two back in 1976, Palace fans began chanting, "Eagles, Eagles," and some clever Brighton fans came up with the perfect reply, "Seagulls, Seagulls." Not all club nicknames have a crazy story though. Take the Gunners. That just comes from the fact a group of munitions workers in the Royal Arsenal factory in Woolwich set up the club in 1886. On the flip side, some nicknames seem simple, but there's a bit more to them, like West Ham. The Hammers is actually nothing to do with the ham part of the name. It comes from the fact the club used to be called Thames Ironworks FC and was made up of workmen and shipbuilders. So next time the away end's chanting their crazy nickname, you'll now know exactly where it came from.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark. It's the perfect time to upgrade your car. Get 2 years free servicing when you buy a used car in the upgrade event. Check it out online. I'm Jeff Stelling. Andy Townsend is with me. It's 6 minutes past 8. We're here right through until 10 o'clock. Thanks, by the way, to all the people who contacted me this morning on X as well. Amongst them, West Sussex Spurs. It says, nice to have you back. Nothing's changed, though, Jeff. Spurs still haven't won a game in the Premier League. Owen McCusker says the world's a calmer place today with Jeff back, which is great. Thank you, Owen. And KTB says, I guess you've found out what I already know. Hartlepool are beyond help.
Jeff, do you know, look, I've got a text here from Paul. Hi, lads. I still can't believe we're talking about Spurs being relegated. I think back to the start of the season, after 4 games, they had 3-0 wins over Burnley and West Ham and had just won at the Etihad 2-0 after 4. He said, we're top of the league. And what odds would you have got at that time for Spurs to be?
Well, that performance that the Etihad under Thomas Frank, that was absolutely brilliant, wasn't it? But you know what I looked at? Spurs' form, and Brighton at home in their next game, by the way, so De Zerbi against his old club, they've taken 10 points at home all season. 10 points.
Astonishing.
So, you know, they're finding it tough to win in front of their own fans. And you know what it's like? When things start to go wrong, it gets toxic.
And when you're in front of your own fans, look, if it's not happening and not playing well, and where they're finding themselves, you do need some very strong characters indeed to stand up and handle that. You really do.
And by the way, that's not blaming the fans. No, they go there and they're paying top dollar.
Yep.
Not just for their season tickets and such, but for all the things they buy as well. during the course of a game, you know, whether it be drinks or food or what. They're playing top dollar, so they've got every right to express their views, that's for sure. On the way for you this morning, 9-time major trophy winner and legendary Arsenal keeper David Seaman joins us to discuss the fallout at the Emirates. In fact, that's where we're going to start this hour. It's Groundhog Day for Arsenal, or so it seems. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
It's a magnificent 4 in a row for Pep Guardiola's superstar Manchester City side.
It is agonising for Arteta and Arsenal. They were top for 248 nights and didn't win the league.
I look at Mikel Arteta, I see Pep.
I'm not here to give advices to Mikel.
There is no confidence in what I'm seeing.
You can't be the bridesmaid all the time.
Get up early, bring your lunch, bring your dinner.
What we've got to learn is when we've got it in our hands, you've got to know how to go and win those games.
I'm asking myself, who's going to beat us?
Manchester City, who win the League Cup yet again. Southampton 2, Arsenal 1.
I'm serious. Who in world football is going to beat us?
Ball running through to Scott, who's running through the centre. He's charging through the middle and he slammed it home. They've been beaten by the Cherries here at the Emirates Stadium.
For today's game, I thought it was Arsenal's. I'm not so sure now.
Yeah, Bournemouth absolutely brilliant, by the way, at the weekend, and they deserve full credit for that victory over Arsenal. But of course, it means that Man City's win at Stamford Bridge yesterday has left them breathing down the Gunners' necks. The gap 6 points, game in hand, and of course, we all know that next Sunday it's City against Arsenal. City with home advantage. Now, among the travelling support, one City fan yesterday was spotted literally drinking from a prop water bottle labelled Arsenal's Tears, savouring every drop of the North London side nerves. You'll see him on screen now if you're watching the show. Look, it was a gentle Mickey take. And I think, as the boys in the commentary pointed out yesterday, he must have brought a case full of props, because when Phil Foden came on, he put Phil Foden's shirt, one of our own, on, you know. So anyway, he's learning how to be a social media influencer. There he is right now. But it seems to be fair game at the moment. Open season, if you like, on taking the mickey out of Arsenal. I think we should remember they are still top of the table.
Yes. Yep. And I think that the Arsenal fans will be continually, of course, they'll be questioning, they'll be worried a little bit about what they're seeing at the moment, but they will also remind themselves that they still have a lead at the top of this division. This is a pivotal moment for them this week. Not only Champions League, then going to City next weekend. The informed team in the league, Manchester City, they're really hot at the moment. They're looking vibrant. They're looking energised by the title race rather than pressurised by it and defeated by it. So Arsenal have got to do whatever it takes, Jeff, next weekend to ensure they do not get beat at Manchester City. Now, whether that's going mad on the front foot, whether that's being far more positive and taking risks elsewhere, then whatever. But they've got to make sure that they come away from that game having not been beaten.
How would Arsenal fans view winning the Champions League but failing to win the Premier League?
I think look, if you win the Champions League, I think it's very difficult to turn around and say your season has been a disappointment or failure. I don't see that by if you win the Champions League. After all, it's the most coveted prize. But Arsenal, having been top of the pile for as long as they have this season now, for it to slide away and slip away would represent real major disappointment. I think a lot of the Arsenal fans, whilst they would love, of course, they would love to win the Champions League, I think they desperately want to see their team get over the line in the Premier League, because I think the Premier League status, winning that, gives you the foundation, the platform then to go and build and be a consistent winning team over the next 3 or 4 years. It almost feels to me like the Champions League almost comes after, once you've got that Premier League title in your back pocket a bit, Jeff. So they've got to do whatever it takes to get over the line. I still think they'll do it. I still believe Arsenal will do it. But it's getting tight, it's getting very tense, and at the moment they're not playing with real freedom, and they've got to they've got to try and find ways to cope with that. That freedom might not come back in the remaining games. It might be it's so pressurised, they might not be able to find the free-flowing stuff, but they've got to find ways to get over the line and get the games won.
Yeah, it's very difficult in their situation to go out and play with a flourish, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Let's take a call. Graham is an Arsenal fan. Morning, Graham.
Hi, morning. How are you?
Morning,
Graham.
Graham.
Good, Graham. So how are you feeling about the title race?
Yeah, absolutely no doom and gloom here at all. We're six points ahead. I know City have got a game in hand, but, this is our Anfield moment. Them screens they had on in the week, I want them on the pitch and I want them playing the Anfield game. This is our moment. This is what we've been going for all season. Let's go. This weekend, I want to attack City. And if we lose 4-3, so be it. I'd rather do that than lose the way we're playing 3 or 4-0 at City. That's what I want. I want Arteta this week changing the mentality of the way we're playing and the mindset of the players.
Yeah, no, look, very good points. I've actually just had a text in as well. It says, Andy, you're saying go to the head and don't get beat. That's exactly what's got them in this mess, playing to not get beat. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this since Christmas, I think we've been pretty poor. I was at the Chelsea game in the Premier League a few weeks back, and we were lucky to get a win in that game. And our luck won't continue, and I think that's proven in the last few domestic games. We've got to do something different. City are going to expect us to play the way we have been over the last few weeks and months. We've got to turn up with a different mentality, and we've got to be on the front foot and just go for it. Like I said, this is our Anfield moment. Come on, boys, let's do it.
Look, brilliant. Thanks, Graham.
Graham, yeah, thanks very much.
I see about him being on the front foot. Yeah, I look at Arsenal and I think they've got so many riches going for. I know Saka's injured at the moment, but,
Yep.
Eze, Gyökeres, Trossard, Madueke, Odegaard.
Martinelli,
lots of attacking talent. Maybe it is time to put faith in a front foot method.
When I said you don't get beat, Jeff, I don't mean you go there with a defensive mindset. What I'm saying is that if you end up coming away, or if with 10 minutes to go, the game's 0-0, 1-1, 2-2, whatever it might be, 3-3, you make sure you don't get beat in that game. I'm not saying for 1 second that Arsenal need to go there with the mindset of just sitting back behind the ball and blocking the game out and trying to just frustrate the life out of City. No. I don't think that you can do that at the moment. I think at some point, if you go down that road, they will find a way. They will create a chance. And at the moment, they look like they can take them. So I think that would be very dangerous. And I don't believe Mikel Arteta will set his team up like that. But what I do mean, last 10 or 15 minutes, for the best teams, usually they are able, if they've got a point in their back pocket and it looks like that's going to be enough, then the best teams usually have what it takes to make sure they get that.
We shall see. It's next Sunday, of course. George has texted. He says, "Hi, lads. No mention of my team, Lincoln City. 25
We did, George.
And only need 4 points to secure the title." Yeah, we touched on it, George, earlier on. But, I haven't really talked about this yet because it's all been too easy for them. 12 points clear at the top of League One. Michael Skubala, what a job he has done there. And they're going to be playing in the Championship next season. And will they be playing Spurs?
Ooh.
That is the prospect.
A minute they are.
Facing Tottenham Hotspur fans right now. What a prospect it is, by the way, for Lincoln City fans. That is something to absolutely relish. Talking of things to relish, coming up, me and Andy are warming ourselves up for a proper battle to defend the mighty fish and chips.
How does he go about saving Spurs? Because we were talking about this on the Premier League All Access podcast. He's a pure football man. He wants to play a certain way, but the time it takes to get that injected into the players' veins is not long enough for the time that he's had in terms of being on the training ground. So does he have to be a little bit more simple in his approach? Does he have to work with the resources he's got?
Yeah.
And what are those?
What has he had? He's probably had nearly 10 days maybe before the game kicks off. He can't have that hard approach, I don't think, at this stage. That's got to be something in the summer, and you work out who's with you, who's not. At the moment, he's got to work out what formation he's going to play, who's going to be his best players. And you look at the midfielders available, bring them down, Sam, like Bergvall, Gallagher, Paulinho, Sarr, Gray. Out of those centre midfielders, who do you choose out of them?
Well, it's great to have Bergvall back for a start, and it's great to have a choice, because one of the problems they've had over the season is they haven't been able to have a choice because there's been so many injuries.
But even going forward, Tell, Simmons.
Kudos has picked up a setback, hasn't he?
Exactly. Moani, Solanke, Richarlison. He's got to work out which of these players is going to get the goals that they need. Van der Ven, second top goal scorer. Richarlison's got 9. Then Van der Ven and Romero have got 4. And then I think Towell's got 3. It's not good enough. It's really not good enough. Someone's got to step up in that team.
It's been an act of self-harm, hasn't it, over the course of the season from Tottenham Hotspur, going back to not getting the recruitment right in the summer, appointing the wrong managers at the wrong time, and ranking bottom for errors leading to goals in the Premier League this season.
Fish and chips, a little Coke and you, oh babe, the honey drips.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling. Andy Townsend is with me Monday, April the 13th, 8:21. That was Fish and Chips by Chuck Berry.
Fish and chips.
How can you make a song about fish and chips? It's amazing. Why are we playing it? Well, you've been hearing from Emma in the news all morning. The government is launching a crackdown on deep-fried classics, meaning Friday fish and chips could be banned from school menus to tackle obesity. Jamie Oliver leading the charge to scrub the grease off our kids' plates 20 years after he axed the turkey twizzler. I think there's talking cracking down on puddings as well. Fish and chips, I mean, you know, they were always something that kids look forward to at school.
Part of a staple diet in this country. It has been for generations, and so it should be. It's a treat. It's something nice. It makes kids look forward to a bit of lunch at school rather than having something on there that they've never heard of or that appears boring or what. Have a bit of fish and chips. If we think that our kids having fish and chips once a week at school is a reason that most children are becoming obese, then come on. I think we need to have a far better look at ourselves and give our heads a wobble, because that's not true. That's not the reason why. And you're punishing a lot of kids that actually would look upon that as a little bit of a treat and a bit of fun and a reason to enjoy their lunch break.
School dinners, for a lot of kids, are the most important meals of the day. It's the time they get a good feed. Yes. And you know what? Stop giving them fish and chips. You know what they'll do? They'll go out and find the local fish and chip shop, and they'll spend their pocket money on buying fish and chips instead. You need good pocket. If you live in London, I mean, I stroll up and down the South Bank sometimes. Fish and chips, 20 quid.
Oh, yeah.
20 quid.
I know, but that's...
Can't believe it.
That's the way of the world nowadays with everything. David says that you two are proper showing your age. No kids care about fish and chips these days. It's beige, boring and unhealthy. Honestly, David, I mean, look, you're more than entitled to your opinion, as we are, but I don't believe that's the case whatsoever. And I think at every point in your lives with your kids, if you've been out travelling all day long, if you've been visiting grandparents and members of the family, and you're driving back and you think you're going to have something to eat when you get home, you haven't got anything ready, you haven't got anything there, you jump and get yourselves a bit of fish and chips. Nothing wrong with that.
No, and John's just texted in, Webbo. He said, what's happening? 70s and 80s, fish and chips were more popular than they are now, and the country wasn't obese. It's the sugar constantly on the shelves in the supermarkets that is killing us. Don't take our tradition away from us. Okay, 8:24. Let's get the latest thoughts with Coral and John Hill.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT with Coral. We're here for the Scottish Grand National. T's and C's apply. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Morning, John.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Andy. Completely in agreement there with the fish and chips. Used to love fish and chips at school. Still love it now, of course. And it's a tradition, isn't it, up north, Jeff, on a Friday, chippy tea. You look forward to it all the week. And it's the start of that weekend run, isn't it?
John, are you with gravy on your fish and chips as well?
Oh, no.
You know
come
what?
on.
I'm not.
No,
I'm actually a curry sauce man, Andy. I love curry sauce.
The heathens. You're heathens, both of you. Salt and vinegar is all that is required. Salt and vinegar is all that is required on fish and chips. Gravy,
but I love it.
Curry sauce, goodness gracious. Look, we better talk about football, hadn't we? And I know, John, you're going to want to mention what's happening in the National League, and we'll do it in a moment or two. But let's start at the top. After the weekend, Premier League outright. I suggested earlier on that Arsenal would still be favourites with the bookmakers. Are they?
Well, they are just about hanging on there, but what a turnaround this is in this title race, guys. I think there was a shot as 1-5, 1-6 Arsenal when they were 9 points clear. They're now just 4-6 with City 6-5. You know, effectively in City's hands again, isn't it? Obviously, if they beat Arsenal next weekend and then they win that game in hand, the goal difference you'd expect to go into their favour. So this is an exciting running now, isn't it? So if you're an Arsenal fan, you're going to be worried. If you're a City fan, you're back in it. And what a massive clash they've got next weekend, which could effectively, determine who gets their hands on this title.
John, what price to draw on that one next weekend?
Well, that would suit Arsenal very much, wouldn't it? That's 9-4 the draw. Arsenal would take that. They'd probably rip the hand off, wouldn't they? But it's been an incredible turnaround, isn't it? I'm sure City at one point had given up on the title, concentrating on other competitions. And we were going on only a few weeks ago, I think, on this show about Arsenal winning the quadruple, 4 trophies. Well, they're out of the AFL Cup, they're out of the FA Cup, and it's starting to look a little bit pear-shaped to the Premier League, isn't it, for them? But it's going to be great to watch as a neutral. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Big game tonight, John, which obviously Manchester United fans are looking at Europe, and they're looking in a very healthy position at the moment. But Leeds are still involved in that relegation dogfight down at the bottom. I mean, first of all, tonight's game, do you give Leeds any chance at Old Trafford?
Well, you never know. I think they had a famous FA Cup win here, didn't they, about 10 or 15 years ago, if I remember. This is obviously a different kettle of fish tonight. There are 4-1 to prevail at Old Trafford, and Leeds obviously need points to try and secure Premier League survival. United are 4-7. Just looking incredibly, United have not played since the 20th of March. They've had a nice break, haven't they, with the international break, FA Cup obviously exit. So they should be fresh and rested for this, should Michael Carrick sign. As you mentioned, going for Champions League football next season, that'll be a big achievement for United, because at the start of the year wasn't looking good for them. Obviously under Ruben Amorim, changed manager, and the fortunes have changed. So United 4-7 for the victory this evening. In terms of that relegation battle, good grief! If you're a Spurs fan, close your ears right now. They're 5-4 favourites for relegation, Spurs, after a defeat at the weekend. West Ham had a great victory on Friday night. They're 7-4 now. Their odds have eased. Leeds still in it, 5-1 for relegation, and Nottingham Forest 11-2. It would be quite remarkable, Andy, wouldn't it, if Spurs were playing in the Championship next season?
Unthinkable, especially when we just read a text out, John, a few moments ago. The way they started the season, it's just it is just incredible how it's all fallen away at Spurs. So they've got to dig very, very deep. They have got to stand up and be counted big time if they're going to survive,
John, your beloved Rochdale, 102 points, but not guaranteed promotion. 2 points behind York City, and of course you meet in the final game of the season. How optimistic are you, mate?
Well, listen, if you'd have offered this at the start of the season, Jeff, win your last 2 games of the season, you'll be champions and promoted. I'd have taken it. Obviously, we've had a bit of a rollercoaster ride since then. A late winner on Saturday against Wealdstone just keeps us in it. So we beat Braintree away Saturday. Keeps alive that last game of the season against York, which has just been incredible. It's sold out, massive crowd there, and the winner takes it all. So, really excited for that. But look, before I go, I just want to give a shout out today. We've got a bit of promotion today for the Coral Scottish Grand National Air on Saturday. So if you're in our West Nile Street shop today in Glasgow, we've got a former Scotland World Cup player coming in for photos, and we've got the trophy in there as well. I'll give you a clue. It's not Ali McCoist, but it is a former Scotland World Cup player from 1998. So get yourself in to our West Nile Street shop in Glasgow today if you're around. That should be good fun.
John, you can't do that. You've got to tell us who.
I've been told do not reveal the name, just give a teaser. So I'll text you later, Jeff, just in case. But it isn't Ali McCoist, as I say. That's the clue.
Brilliant. John, thanks very much.
Good to see you back, Jeff. Good to see you back, mate.
Thanks,
really
mate.
good.
Okay, we'll see you soon, John. Take care.
Cheers, boys.
Fish and chips. People are very interested in this story. An anonymous texter says, completely agree. My daughter loves Fun Fish Friday at school. Get the kids off the iPads and incentivize being active. A lot of people are saying that. Simon says, don't forget, over the years, kids have been out and about playing and burning calories. Nowadays, they're plonked on their backsides with their heads stuck in mobile phones and in front of screens. Sad state of affairs.
Jeff, just very quickly, another thing. Have you ever grown any of your own stuff in the garden?
Well, not fish or
no, not
chips,
fish.
no.
I mean food.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Have you done
we've
your
had
tomatoes
little vegetable gardens.
Vegetable
garden. Absolutely.
And there is nothing better than that, is there? When you actually, and now I appreciate not everyone's got the garden, can't always do that, but you don't have to have a huge garden. You only need a little area to actually grow a bit of veg. Get a few tomatoes on the go, and I tell you what, it's absolutely fun. It's such great fun as well, I think, particularly for young kids who start to see this stuff coming up out the ground and eventually eating it, because it is really lovely. There's something about the taste of growing your own stuff in the garden which is really lovely to do.
Yeah, because it tastes, as opposed to supermarket bought products, vegetables and fruit, which tastes of absolutely zero. Most of looks great, but tastes of zero. Josh has just texted me, said, morning, lads, great show. Good to have you back, Jeff. I can't see Jeff enjoying a proper chippy tea. He doesn't like gravy. How can you have pudding, chips and peas without gravy? Pudding, Josh?
Pudding,
am I missing something here? Fish and chips, salt and vinegar. That'll do the business very nicely indeed. Coming up, is there a leadership crisis in top-level football?
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT with the Coral Reward Shaker. With 100k of free bets available online each day, we're here for the Coral Scottish Grand National. 18 plus, max 1 reward per day. Reward restrictions and T's and C's apply. Gambleaware.org.
managers can be petulant, players can be petulant, just like owners can be.
De Zerbi was. I mean, you know, you can say De Zerbi, and he's walked into the Tottenham job. You know, like.
Would you take him? Would you take him at Chelsea?
Right here, right now.
Why are you hesitating?
Well, because that's just it's a rhetorical question.
I know, but
would you take my Spurs?
Yeah, I would have, but we got De Zerbi.
I know, but you're facing relegation.
You got Rossini as the manager.
That's not the question.
Okay, what's the question? Is would you take him at Chelsea?
No.
Why?
Well, that don't give you a reason, right? No.
What do you mean? I want a reason.
Because he's petulant.
No, that's not a reason.
Well, it is.
You've had loads of petulant managers.
I know, but
you've had hundreds of them.
They get sacked.
Okay, but that's absolute garbage. Don't tell me you wouldn't take Glasner over Rossini.
No, I wouldn't.
Oh, mate.
No.
What are you on about?
You're throwing your pen down.
What are you on about?
You're like a petulant
No,
child.
I know, but you're just an idiot. Like, I know you've got like a little Chelsea gig. I know you've got your little Chelsea gig going on over there.
I don't get my own way. No, so I'm throwing my pen down.
No,
How
mate,
childish are you?
No, that is absolute guff.
Throw
No,
that.
it's absolute guff. You're talking absolute garbage. Don't talk garbage. Glasner is a million times better manager than Rossini.
Okay.
Don't sit here and say you wouldn't have him at Chelsea.
No, not having at Chelsea.
Oh,
he's too petulant.
Oh,
no, he wouldn't. Can you imagine him? Can you imagine him with the owners? He's just thrown out with Steve Parish. What's going to go on with Todd Bowley? Him and Todd Bowley.
You're an absolute nugget.
No,
well,
don't. If you don't like the question, don't ask.
Stupid pills.
Don't ask the. If you don't like the answer, don't ask the question.
Amen Corner, perhaps the most feared run of holes in golf. Each year, it claims the tournament hopes of many, with balls hitting bunkers and water traps aplenty. But why is it so fearsome, and where did it get its name? Just the thoughts of holes 11, 12 and 13 at Augusta National gives the likes of Rory McIlroy and Jordan Spieth the shivers. McIlroy hit 3 over and Spieth hit 4 over in their final rounds to blow their hopes of a green jacket in 2011 and 2016 respectively. But did you know Amen Corner's name is inspired by a jazz song from 1933? American sports writer Herbert Warren Wint, on the left here, wrote about it in 1958, referencing the song shouted in that Amen Corner when describing the run. Hole 11 is a par 4 over 520 yards with a green guarded by a pond and bunkers to the front edge. 12, perhaps golf's most famous hole, is a par 3 over just 155 yards. The green's guarded by Rays Creek at the front, more bunkers and azalea bushes ready to punish the smallest error. Then there's the 13th that teases the hook shot over the trees. It's a dogleg par 5 over 545 yards that's inviting for big hitters who want to reach the green in 2. If you want to win the Masters, you have to keep your score down around Amen Corner. So who'll be the next to fall victim to golf's most famous and most daunting challenge?
Good morning, 8:37. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark. Shop the upgrade event today and get an extra £500 when you part exchange your car. Don't miss your chance to boost your valuation. I'm Jeff Stelling. Andy Townsend is with me today as well. John Hill at Coral, they're just teasing us about a betting shop in Glasgow and featuring a member of the World Cup squad in 98.
Correct.
Yeah, and he told us it wasn't Ali McCoist.
He did.
And we've had plenty of texters, including Billy, who says, well, obviously it's not Ali. He was famously omitted from the 1998 World Cup squad.
Yeah. Didn't know that. I didn't know at all. I've no idea why John can't tell us who that individual is that they're going to see later on. But there you go. Maybe it's still a little bit in the balance, Jeff, whether this individual is actually going to rock up and show up.
Well, maybe it is. And it's probably not costed because they're not offering enough money, I would imagine. But I'm sorry about that, guys. Billy also says, different Billy, massive game tonight. Underrated rivalry. This is Man United and Leeds. Both teams need to win. Get work out of the way and then off to Old Trafford. Carrick's at the wheel. And there's another conversation maybe for a bit later. Does Michael Carrick get the job full time? I'll ask Andy his views a bit later on. So Spurs in the relegation zone following West Ham's win and then losing start for Roberto De Zerbi away at Sunderland. We're talking about, a lack of leaders because we saw in that game the Tottenham skipper going off in tears. But it's a common problem, isn't it? We were talking about this. Where are the leaders? Where are the old-fashioned leaders in the Premier League?
I have no idea why seemingly now so many fans come on talking about different clubs and talking about lack of leadership, lack of leaders, lack of an obvious character that will say what's got to be said, will point the finger when he has to, will run up to a player and shove him in a direction when he needs him to push forward another 10 yards, go and grab some, drag him away from the referee when they're starting to get a bit lippy. And so many fans are saying that individual is now lacking at their club, Jeff. And if you actually go through the Premier League, and again, welcome to take your text on this, 81089, who do you think are the genuine leaders? Who are the obvious leaders in the Premier League or wherever else for that matter that are operating right now? We were going through them earlier, you and I, we were going through them all. There aren't that many clubs out there that you think, you could hang your hat on him to be an absolute candidate. And I come back to this leadership groups that clubs seem to have nowadays where they've got 5 or 6 players. That to me is like fudging around the issue, Jeff. And that is like, give one person in the dressing room the voice and the chance to run that dressing room and run it as they see fit and be that link between the group and the manager. Only needs one voice. If you start having 5 or 6 different people all throwing their oar in on various different topics and problems and issues that arise at the club, well, surely you're just multiplying the problems. I don't think you get anything sorted out.
At Tottenham, I wonder if Cristiano Romero is regarded as the leader almost by default. That you look through the rest of the squad and think, well, who else is there?
Well, that may be the case. That may be the case. And by the way, not every leader has to be someone who's like Keano was, that sort of real ferocious kind of leader who physically will do whatever he has to do and he wouldn't care about falling out with anyone or whatever. Not every leader has to be like that. But you do need to have someone that is able to shoulder that responsibility and is able to give the rest of the team a bit of belief that they can do the job and do it well and say something when it needs to be said, but make sure that they get their own game sorted out as well. There's no point in being... I've been captain an awful lot and I've had plenty of times in my career when I've not been playing very well. And it's difficult to start pointing the fingers at others, Jeff, when all of a sudden you ain't taking care of your own game. Yeah. And loads of spells like that. But you find ways to make sure, I think, that you do that. But why is it now that there aren't seemingly no genuine leaders operating at the very top of our game? It seems very odd.
I mean, Dylan and Nathan have both suggested Grant Xhaka, and there's certainly be an argument for that. Nathan also says Jordan Henderson at Brentford. When we're talking about leaders, Cammy's come up with the same suggestion. James Tarkowski at Everton.
Yes.
He's sort of an old-fashioned leader.
He is.
Isn't he? Villa have John McGinn, says Nick. I think
John's great.
John's great. Tends to focus more. You can't see him barking out orders at other players.
I agree with you there. He's not necessarily like that, but because he had a bit of an injury spell. He was out for a month, whatever it was, 4 or 5 weeks. But in the main, John is there every week, plays every week. I think it's important for leaders of your club to be reliable and in that respect, to be dependable, be out there as more often than not. I think can't have people leading from the treatment room. No, that don't work.
I mean, a West Ham fan here is texting Jared Bowen. I wasn't sure when Paqueta got sent off. And he didn't pull him away. The last few games, he's been a true captain and a true leader. Not in the old-fashioned sense,
No.
but I do get that Bowen is a leader on the pitch for West Ham.
I think sometimes some clubs tend to look for their star player to be, or their so-called star player to be the captain nowadays. I'm not a great believer always of that. I can understand the reasons for doing it, because you want to keep that individual at the club, you want to keep them happy. By making them the captain throws that little bit of extra responsibility onto them. But look, I just find it very difficult, and I wonder if it's because of these leadership groups nowadays that when things get tough, when you're looking around on the pitch for somebody to try and take control of a situation, nobody seemingly wants to do that or is capable of doing that anymore.
Yeah. I mean, one name that keeps cropping up amongst all the texts here, Steve has come up with this one again, on leaders. Look at Granit Xhaka. Just watching him yesterday. He's barking orders all game, organising and encouraging. Probably doesn't always come across on TV, but what a warrior. And that's the sort of thing we're talking about.
Exactly.
Really,
yeah.
I'm going to throw one out. I think Lewis Dunk at Brighton is proper old-fashioned leader as well.
I agree. He is... I think the epitome of what I see as someone who captains his team and kind of leads his club. He's not the best player, but he is someone that has been there a long time. He embodies what Brighton are all about, and I totally understand why they would look to Lewis in that respect to captain the side. But it's very strange that so many fans nowadays, when in times of trouble, first thing they do is saying, "Leader, who's leading us?"
Rick suggests Harry Maguire, which, I get that as well. Just got a quick text here. Good morning, gents. Any chance of a shout-out to the Carlisle United fans cycling from Carlisle to Truro? Whew. They're currently on the A49 heading to Shrewsbury. Our Facebook page is Truro or Bust. So good luck to you, boys, you Carlisle United fans. You won't have to do it next season, of course, because Truro have been relegated and Carlisle still hope to go up. But best of luck. That is one heck of a trek.
It is a trek.
By the way, we've been racking our brains for things that happened since Spurs' last home Premier League win back in December. We've had both Christmas and seen the turn of a whole new year. We've had the Super Bowl, and the Artemis 2 rocket has been and returned from the moon. Right, still to come on Breakfast.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Benchmarks Kitchens and Joinery. Get trade prices on kitchens to suit all styles and budgets at Benchmarks.
It was a London buses scenario for this man a year on from breaking his master's duck.
Yeah, like today I tie Nick. So yeah, there's obviously going to be that conversation and that debate is going to be had. But it's a cool conversation to be a part of. So. But again, like it took me 10 years to win at my 5th major, and then my 6th one's come pretty soon after it. So yeah, I'm not putting a number on it, but I certainly don't want to stop here.
Just 4 golfers ever defended their Masters title: Jack Nicklaus, Nick Faldo and Tiger Woods. So you're waking up after a late night of watching the golf. Come and tell us if you did. How amazing is McIlroy's achievement? 03717 223344. Former Man United assistant Rennie Mullen's team will be on with us as well to look ahead to a huge rivalry as his former club take on Leeds. And that was our breakfast preview with Travis Perkins.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. With 250 hire branches nationwide, it's easy to hire at Travis Perkins.
Eddie Howe deserves to keep his job definitely in the summer, rebuild his squad of players, probably no European football next season. But you have to be honest and say the Premier League season hasn't been good enough at Newcastle standards. That's fine.
But is that because of the fact that they haven't got a deep enough squad?
Of course, they haven't got a deep enough squad, but the players that they've had available, they shouldn't be behind Sunderland in the league.
But aren't we back to the same discussion that we had when we were talking about Aston Villa? And that is that they have owners that are wealthy, probably wealthier than everybody else, but yet they're unable to spend because of the financial restrictions. And as a result, that's keeping them further down the pecking order.
Who do you think?
Because you look at their last few seasons,
Yep.
Champions League, qualification, then out.
Yep.
Great season getting to the winning the cup competition, getting to the Champions League, and then out. So what's next season? Another great season, and then the following season not being able to sustain it?
The problem they've got...
It's up and down, up and down, up and down.
The
Because
problem they've got as well is, do they have to sacrifice a player as well? Like Aston Villa have? Is that Tonali? Is that Ramirez? Which one is it that they have to sacrifice?
Tonali will go in the summer.
What sort of figures are you thinking for him?
80.
And where will he go?
Manchester.
Which one?
Take your pick.
But the interesting thing
I
there
think
is
he'll end up at City or United.
is that Elliot Anderson is a target, isn't he, for Manchester United? But you're not going to
target for both
of those in, are you?
Well,
one will go.
A very good morning to you. This is talkSPORT Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling. Andy Townsend is with me. 8:50 on Monday, April the 13th. Headlines this morning. Pep Guardiola's labelled title rivals Arsenal as the best club in England and Europe ahead of their huge title showdown on Sunday. Elsewhere in Germany, Marie-Louise Etter has become the first woman to appoint to manage a men's team in one of Europe's top 5 leagues after she was named interim coach of the Bundesliga side Union Berlin. I think 5 games she has to go this season. And it's as if there wasn't enough sport to watch over the weekend. It was all eyes on Merseyside Saturday afternoon. Full house at Aintree for the 2026 Grand National, won by a familiar partnership.
Maximus trying to get past him, and Paul Townend is sweeping past him on Ian Maximus, just as he did 2 years ago. You've barely seen this horse. He's timed it to perfection and has come through. Iroko's running on, but my goodness me, that is Paul Townend at his coolest, best to ensure victory, an epic victory for him and Willie Mullins.
Ian Maximus' first horse since Red Rum in 1977 to regain the Grand National for trainer Willie Mullins and jockey Paul Townend. What a ride.
What a ride, wasn't it?
Oh, coolness personified.
Do you know, Jeff, because I had a little flutter on Iron Maximus too, only a little one, but and of course your eyes are fixed on your horse every time they come to a fence, every time and you're hoping they're going to, and he actually jumped a few and it wasn't perfect and far from it, and at one point you're thinking he's got a little bit too much to do, and then all of a sudden, wow, when he went for it,
flew.
Oh, he absolutely flew, didn't he? Majestic. It really was timed to perfection in the end.
Yeah, it was, and as a jockey, you know, I mean, having barely ever ridden a horse, as a jockey, over that sort of distance, how to pace yourself, and have that much confidence in the horse, which still was fourth coming over the last.
Correct.
Was just incredible. I think it's important to say as well, it was a terrible result for the bookmakers, but they had a great result last season, didn't they? 33 to 1 shot. Nick Rockett won it last season, so not many tears shed for them. After all the debate, all the controversy, and so on and so forth, in the Grand National, talking about the Grand National, not the meeting, all the horses walked away from the race.
Right.
Which I think, in terms of image, really, really important. And there was a full house at Aintree, and you know what? There were a lot of young people there as well. It seems to me that racing is rebuilding its image and regaining its popularity, particularly with the youth in the...
I think, and also a credit to ITV, I think the way that they actually do the racing, I think, Jeff, they do it really, really well. I think, and the adverts and everything else suits racing, doesn't it? You have your race, and then all of a sudden they're off to an advert. They come back, they build up for the next one. It suits it, but they do it brilliantly. Ed and all the guys, I think they're excellent at it.
Ed Chamberlain, an old mate of mine, does an absolutely brilliant job. Now, as far as I Am Maximus is concerned, it's another win for Willie Mullins, by the way. He's won the race 4 times, so he joins the all-time greats Fred Rimmel and Ginger McCain in that. But the horse won't be paraded for long. You know, they always take the horses, around TV studios and pubs and things like that. But Willie said of I Am Maximus, he said, the last time he won it, he said he ate about 3 babies and 4 pensioners. We had to take him home after 5 minutes. He will eat you without salt, which I thought absolutely brilliant quote.
Yeah.
It was a phenomenal training triumph from Willie Mullins, who's one of the greats. And as far as JP McManus is concerned, he owned 1st, 2nd, and 4th.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Wonderful. Not too bad at all. No, and they pulled him from Cheltenham, didn't they, I Am Maximus? He didn't run there. And because they just felt that this one would suit him better. So their planning and the way that they got him right and got him prepared was meticulous, and it was spot on the day. Really, really lovely run.
Yeah, it was. I think JP needs the money, so he'll welcome 1st, 2nd, and 4th. And I'm not the biggest fan of the race. I'll be brutally honest. I wouldn't particularly want a horse of mine to run in it, but I do get it's overwhelming appeal. It's a great deal safer than it used to be as well. So, Grand National winner, I Am Maximus. Congratulations to all those involved in that, particularly Paul Townend, the jockey, who was absolutely magnificent. Lots of texts about Tottenham and their prospects. Tom says since Tottenham last won a game, Trigger's Broom has had 14 new handles.
Don't know what that is.
No, I don't either. But it must be significant somewhere.
Jeff, got to ask you a question about the golf, right? Because I saw Gary Player talking about the fact that he thinks now that the pros have got to play with a ball that takes 60 yards off it. He said, because we're now getting to the point where the guys are hitting it so big, almost potentially driving 400-yard par 4s. The courses are becoming benign, etc., etc. It still looked pretty tough to me what was going on at Augusta yesterday. But it's interesting. Gary Player, an absolute legend of the game, said that it's time now for the pros to play with a ball that makes them hit it 60 yards shorter. Not the amateurs. Now, that again causes issues because normally most people, you want to be playing with the same equipment.
Of course you do.
And the same stuff that the big boys are playing with.
Yeah.
But he said that the way the game is going, eventually, that these courses are going to be just not going to be a big enough test for these guys because of the way that they're hitting it and how far they're hitting it. I wonder what our listeners think of that, because that's a big call from someone like him. Funny enough, I was talking to my youngest lad about it, Jeff, who loves his golf, and he said, well, that was then, but now's different, and every amateur golfer out there wants to see the ball fly as far as they can possibly hit it.
And I get that. And it's not as if, for instance, the Masters is not being won by a 26 or 27 under.
No.
It was, what was it, 11, 12, something
11,
like
yes.
that. So I do get the point, But I don't think that's the way forward, taking distance off the ball. Not for me. Crikey, they took distance off my ball. I might as well just drop it at my feet.
Well, again, he said that he was at pains to point out that actually for the everyday player, for amateur players, no, look, listen, you guys need to be using the stuff that we're all using nowadays. But he's saying that the pros game, if they're not careful, these guys are hitting it so far, so long, so consistently with the equipment now, which has evolved, well, just massively. Yeah. He said that the game perhaps might not be as good a spectacle down the line from here. So be interested to get your thoughts on that.
Pretty good spectacle at the moment. If it ain't bust, don't fix it. That's my view. Kevin from County Antrim says, absolutely buzzing with Rory's achievement last night. He can now potentially go on to be the greatest golfer of all time. I won't be surprised if he becomes the first man to win 3 Masters in a row. In my eyes, he's now the greatest sports personality to ever come out of Ireland. And we need to either erect a statue of him or name an airport after him, as we did for George Best. True inspiration for all aspiring golfers across the UK and Europe. Thank you very much indeed, Kevin. And this morning, I suspect you won't get too many arguments about that. By the way, AP McCoy, probably up watching the golf last night. So we're going to speak to him at 9:45 instead. He's having a bit of a lie-in this morning. Up next, David Seaman. We'll also speak to Tony Bellew and Rennie Mullenstein before 10.
Robertson at Liverpool, Ella on the show, but here's a reminder what Robertson achieved in his career. He'll leave Anfield after 9 years. 9 years, brilliant. Over 375 appearances and having won every trophy available. What about that for a career, Ray? Did you win every one?
What's that, Al? What listening?
Rob won 375 appearances.
Did he?
For Liverpool. And he's won every trophy available.
I didn't win the Champions League. That's the only one we was missing for us. We won the League Cup. I won the League Cup, FA Cup, Premier League, Cup Winners' Cup, I think it was, UEFA Cup. Cup Winners' Cup.
He came with Maguire, didn't he, from Howe?
Who's another great player who's playing tonight, who come from Hull? You get that. He's playing tonight. There's a clue for you. Another great signing.
Of course.
Bowen. He come from Hull City.
Of course he did.
All the fantastic players who play for Hull. Who did I play for? Hull City.
I love that. I love the. Do you know the way he strikes the ball? He's hardly any backlift. But he is. He's deadly.
I can see Robertson going Celtic, though, can you?
Yes, I think so.
Obviously, Tierney's still there as well, isn't he?
Tierney's had a great career. But I think the injuries caught up with him a little bit.
Yeah, quite.
But he still gives his 100%. And
life after football. For a lot of players, it means going into punditry. Some turn to coaching or working in the game in other ways. But what about the rest? Some former footballers turn their sights away from the game, and there are a few big surprises. First up, from rainbow flicks to pancake flips. Ex-Chelsea and Southampton defender Ken Monku switched up his footballing career to buy a Dutch pancake house. He bought out the shop, which had been his favourite pancake spot as a child, and before long he was mixing the batter and getting behind the stove. Next, Everton legend Thomas Gravesen swapped out the high stakes of the Premier League for those of the poker room. He made over 150 appearances for the Toffees and won the Scottish Premier League with Celtic. Turned out the Danish international was pretty darn good at poker. He racked up a reported £100 million from his Las Vegas adventures. Remember former Chelsea goalkeeper Petr Cech? Turns out football nets weren't the only goals he was pretty handy in front of. After retirement, he became a goaltender in ice hockey. Same skills, very different surface. And he even won a Division 2 title with Guildford Phoenix. For ex-Liverpool centre-back Daniel Agger, it wasn't just fancy footwork that was in his blood. He was also pretty good with his hands. The Denmark international turned to tattoo artistry after he hung up his boots. He'd qualified as a skin artist while at Anfield, and he then became the co-owner of his own tattoo company as well. It's not all glamour for ex-pros, though. 1966 World Cup winner Ray Wilson set up a very different kind of business. He became an undertaker after he retired. Finally, not many people can say they've won both a World Cup and starred in an Oscar-winning film. In fact, there's only one person in the entire world who can say that. Frank Leboeuf, the former Chelsea defender, was part of the 1998 France squad who won the World Cup. He ended up marking Brazil's Ronaldo in the final and helped his side to a 3-0 win. But Leboeuf had already begun acting on the side while he was playing football, and his biggest role came some years after his retirement when he landed the part of a doctor in the Stephen Hawking biopic The Theory of Everything.
I embrace the career of acting, so I want to learn more. So seeing lots of movies is a part of my job.
To be honest, with all the dramatic diving in the game these days, there's probably tons of ex-pros who've got the acting skills to make it in Hollywood.
Yeah, very good morning to you. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark. Buy a used car and get a free 2-year service plan. Plus, get an extra £500 when you part exchange. Shop the upgrade event today. I'm Jeff Stelling. Andy Townsend is with me. You made an interesting point. We talked about you brought the subject up. Gary Player suggested playing with balls that travel less far. Colin, the Everton fans, come up with a better suggestion in my view.
I agree with him as well. Hi, chaps. I don't understand golf, but why can't you just reduce the par on some of the holes for the pros to just make it that bit more of a test? Colin, that's a very, very sensible point. I mean, Gary Player's talking about a different ball that the pros should use so they can't hit it as far. Well, all of a sudden, some of those par fives at Augusta, if they were a 4, then that would make it a little bit more challenging. That would keep the scores perhaps a little bit more, I don't know, feasible sometimes, because you don't want, as you said, Jeff, you don't want players finishing 4 rounds 25 under and 28 under. I don't think it's ever going to happen at the Masters, but it does happen during the golfing calendar. So interesting that. Good point, Colin.
Yeah, 5s down to 4s is a logical way to go if you want to change things at all. By the way, an anonymous text here. I've got to read it out, though. Tyson Fury has won more at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium than Tottenham have this year. Thank you to whoever said that. And now, Arsenal, the talk of the town this morning. Are they about to blow the title once again? Mikel Arteta urged fans to bring their lunch and their dinner on Friday. But his side served up, well, a bit of a dog's dinner against Bournemouth. On the game day phone-in, Jason Cundy said crowd anxiety is working against Arsenal when they play at the Emirates.
Let me tell you now, the Gooners at the stadium, there is something going on in the stand that the players will feed off. There was an atmosphere that you could sense the nerves. I think the fans are part of the problem right now because they are feeding their own anxiety and their own fears onto the pitch.
You're blaming the fans?
They're part of the problem.
Don't blame the fans.
They're part of the problem. They are they are going there scared, I can't say that word, scared stiffless.
Yeah, those Cundy's views. Look, I think every crowd's the same. You know, when things aren't going well, the crowd gets anxious. Joining us now, 9-time major trophy winner with the Gunners, David Seaman. Morning, David.
Morning, guys.
So, tell me, you know, as an ex-Arsenal man yourself, how are the players feeling at the moment? We hear all the views of the supporters and their nervousness. Is it natural for the players to be edgy, to be nervous? Will they be talking about it in training now?
I don't think they'll be talking about the nerves, but they were certainly nervous on Saturday. I was at the game, Jeff, and you could see that. All credit to Bournemouth, by the way, because they played really well. But when you're a team that are going for the league, you need to be dominating these sort of games. And yeah, I think the nerves did take over a little bit. And I know what Jason's saying about the crowd. You know, I was there, and you can feel a bit of tension when things don't start going right. But it's vitally important that those fans stay behind us. Thousands and thousands of them are always behind us, you know, but the players they're aware of when it gets a little bit spicy.
Yeah. David, the fans are saying they want to see the team more expansive. They've got to play with a bit more freedom. They've got to be braver, etc., etc. You can't just sort of switch that on, can you? I don't think that's something that you can just decide, all of a sudden this week we're going to go and do that. I think it's probably striking the right balance between, yes, being perhaps a little braver, particularly with the forward players in the wide areas, being a little bit braver to take people on and to try and make something happen. But it's difficult for Arsenal to snap out of what they are.
Yeah, and that's been like the last few games, Andy. It's you know, like you say, it's not been the Arsenal that we know. We've not been playing our best game, but we have been getting some results with that, the way that we're playing. But yeah, you can't just like click your finger and then start playing a different way. You know, it's all about confidence, and that confidence comes from just little things in the game. You know, like if you can get an early goal, it makes a massive difference, because then that gives the confidence to the players, it gives the confidence to the fans, and then everything seems to be okay. But you know, playing with nerves is okay. Playing with the pressure is all from outside. You know, and I remember in Euro 96, we had a load of pressure put on us by everybody outside the game and, you know, some people in the game. But we just shut up shop. We shut up shop, and then we concentrated on what we do. And I think that's what Arsenal have got to do. You know, they've got to get themselves away from all these added pressures and go and play their game. We're lucky that we've got a game midweek. You know, I know people will think, well, Man City have got a free week, they're going to be rested. But we've got a chance of getting that game against Bournemouth out of our system by getting a good result against Sporting.
What do you do with that, David, as well, in terms of, look, there are some 1 or 2 injury problems, massive game against Sporting, significant game. Can he be too clever with the starting lineup in this one?
No, I think you've got to go full out.
Everything you've got.
Full strength, you know, because it's about momentum. You know, it's about how you approach this game. Take confidence from this game, hopefully on Wednesday, and then take that into the weekend's game against Man City. You don't want to be putting a not so strong team out on Wednesday and then getting beat or not getting the right result. Then you've got double the pressure going into the weekend's game. So it's about momentum at the moment.
We talk about momentum. A lot of Arsenal fans have been texting in, David. You know, you look at the amount of attacking talent that Arsenal have got. And a lot of people have been saying they've been playing with a handbrake on. Does Mikel need to be more adventurous when they go to City next weekend?
No, you've got to be more compact. You've got to defend really well, you know. And anything other than a defeat at City is a great result. But you can't go to Man City and go gung ho, because they will punish you. You know, I saw Man City against Chelsea. That's how good they are. And they've been like that for the last few weeks. You know, they've been playing really, really well. So you give them the respect that they deserve, but you make sure that you're really hard to beat. And that's what we used to do.
No, it's very, very, very true. And in terms of watching City, David, at the moment, very impressive yesterday, weren't they? Second half against Chelsea. They looked like they had high energy. They were playing at such a pace with great intensity and belief. You know, they really looked like a team yesterday that knew that they were playing well on top of their game.
Yeah, and they've been like that for the last few weeks as well, Andy. You know, they've looked really strong. You know, they've been going to like away games. Excuse me. They've been just playing so well, so organised, and attacking. Not just defending. They're defending really well as a unit, but when they get the ball back, when they regain possession, they're off. And they've got threats. Doku, I watch him every time. Every time I watch him, I still don't know what he's going to do.
No.
And I've watched him all season. He's so good, though.
Yeah, he is good. He's a good player.
Yeah, he's great to watch, but maybe not if you're an Arsenal fan.
No.
If you won the Champions League, David, but not the Premier League, would the season be regarded as a success?
Good question, Jeff. So Arsene Wenger used to give us a piece of paper before the start of every season, and he'd say to us, write down in order of preference what you'd like to win. And all the English players would go Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup, League Cup. All the foreign players would go Champions League, Premier League,
That's
FA Cup, League Cup.
Yeah.
So for me, it was always win the league. That was the marker, because there's so many games and it's a much tougher campaign. But the Champions League is still a massive trophy. And the other thing as well is the club have never won the Champions League, so it's a chance of this squad creating Arsenal history of their own.
Good point.
Brilliant. David, thanks very much as
Top
ever.
stuff, Dave. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
talkSPORT, your place to hear live commentary of Arsenal's next game. It's against Sporting Lisbon, of course, in the Champions League. They carry a 1-0 advantage going into that second leg. Will the nerves from the Premier League carry over into Europe?
Jeff, you just flew out the studio at a fair rate of knots.
I did. And I'll tell you what, I was going to say that Champions League game, talkSPORT this week,
yes,
build up from 7, kick off from 8. I flew out there because Sam Ryder was in. Sam is about to play Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar. You take one look at him, you'll know he's an absolute natural for it. As well, he's a mate of mine, and I knew he was just flying past. I think he's been on Chris Evans' show on Virgin, so I just wanted to dash out and say hello to him, and I missed the start of David Seaman.
Oh, no, he's good, Dave. He's top stuff, and he makes some very, very good points, Jeff, about what's... again, just talking to David there about... difficult all of a sudden. The Arsenal fans want to see the team more expansive. It's kind of difficult to snap out of where Arsenal are at the moment. All of a sudden think they're going to become this free-flowing machine again. Yeah. It's kind of not going to be like that, I'm afraid, guys. It's not.
No.
The first thought is going to have to be, I think, about that we don't get beat and hope that your forward players... I think when you... in any tight game, in any big match, any huge event, you look for those boys at the top of the field to make the difference for you. City yesterday had those people in those areas that could hurt you. Semenyo and Doku and Erling Haaland never really had that many to beat, but you can't take your eyes off him for a second. Cherky, once he started running second half, very, very dangerous. Arsenal have got to put the responsibility on those boys more than anyone to find those extra gears now when it really matters.
Yeah, because they cannot go to the Etihad and sit back.
No,
they cannot, because City will find a way.
They will. They will wear you down, and not just with their persistence and the way that they keep the ball, but again, I think there's a speed now about Manchester City with which they're playing with. I witnessed yesterday, it was way too hot for Chelsea. Chelsea just could not handle that in the second half. And I think they're going to go about it in exactly the same way against Arsenal. Yeah. It's going to be some watch that game. It's going to be absolutely fascinating to see how this one unfolds. Can't wait for it.
No, me neither. Coming up on Sunday, of course. Coming up immediately here on talkSPORT Breakfast, we'll ask Tony Bellew what kind of spectacle we're likely to see as Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury look set to finally get it on.
Ethan and Werry, and Miles Lewis Skelly this summer, and we're talking about maybe 100 million for the pair. That's too much, surely.
Well, no, I mean they're great prospects, aren't they?
100 mil for
Skelly's probably just he's not had a great time lately. He's just fell away from that first team a little bit. He's got a lot of people in front of him at the moment. And Capio, who's come in, he's done a really good job on that left hand side. You've got Calafiori as well. So I feel for him a little bit because you're a young player. You went through that little bit of stage where your form ain't great. A lot has happened in his career very quickly, Al. I mean, scoring a goal for England, playing for your country at a young age. So it might have just caught up with him a little bit, but he's just got to keep working hard and see where it takes him. Waineri's on loan at the moment, but he's a top player as well. A really, really
and you're really
great
happy
talent.
with young Max, aren't you?
Oh, Max he's doing different class. 16. People forget he's only 16. It's amazing. He changed the game. He changed the game when he come on against Everton. He looked like...
And was getting back and helping out.
Yeah, and he scored that first goal. As I said before, his family must be so proud to watch him, has gone through the ranks and all that. And he's a really good, grounded young kid. So he's going to be a real prospect. Look, things can go wrong still, as in football. You know what it's like. Al, you had a poor injury, didn't you, yourself?
Yeah.
Injuries can affect you.
A gradual injury.
But I think the technology now is a lot better from when you was around, I should imagine. But he's got everything going for him. He's just got to keep working hard, keep, and he's going to make a difference as well. And he's a real talent. Absolutely, could be one of the best players ever.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling. Andy Townsend is with me. 20 minutes past 9 o'clock, Monday, April the 13th. Competition time now, and it's a big one. We've 2 tickets for Wimbledon on Monday, July the 6th, up for grabs. You'll watch the world's best from the official Wimbledon debenture seats on centre court. If you've never been to centre court, it's an absolute marvel. You'll also have exclusive debenture lounge access throughout the day, the perfect place to soak up the atmosphere between matches. So for your chance to win, just text the word WIN, W-I-N, to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or call 0343 418 7260, and lines will close on Thursday at 4 o'clock. That's when you'll need to answer the phone if it rings. 18 plus, UK residents only. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. So for your chance to win, text the word WIN to 83338. Do it now. Let's go back to football, shall we? We haven't really touched on Liverpool at all, have we, during the course of the day? They got themselves back to winning ways on Saturday evening, 2-0 win over Fulham. It was a very comfortable win in the end, I thought, as well. And the first goal was scored by 17-year-old Rio Ungamoha, who was given a start by Arne Slot. And he produced a performance, Andy, I think, of someone who's far more mature than a 17-year-old.
Yep.
He was exciting. He was confident. He scored a wonderful goal.
Yep.
It made me think, I'm scratching my head thinking, why hasn't Arne Slot given him more game time?
It's often what happens with coaches, and particularly coaches that are under pressure a bit, Jeff, playing good younger players, putting them in all of a sudden a little bit more. When you want to take good care of your younger players, you don't want to throw too much at them too soon and all of that, then all of a sudden you start losing a few matches, and then it's get the younger guys in because they buy you a bit of time. They do with supporters, etc. He clearly is a very talented boy. Whenever I've watched him play, again, I love the confidence that he plays with. He plays like a typical 17-year-old. He freedom, and he's not worried about giving it away or losing it. He wants to see if he can make something happen. Prepared to shoot, prepared to have a go from distance, gets in the box, takes people on, backs defenders into the area, which is what you want to see people doing, backpedaling those fullbacks into and making them make rash challenges in the box. He's a dangerous player, and I can see him playing a bit more. And it's that conversation about how much do you play the younger players, when should you play them, when you've got to then take them out of the team. It's very difficult. What will happen with Rio, I'm sure, eventually, the way he's going, he's going to make it very, very difficult for any manager, whether it's Arne Slot, someone else, to leave him out, Jeff.
Do you start him against PSG?
Well, dear. Again, that... Well, do you know what? The way that PSG play, and obviously their two fullbacks are probably the most aggressive fullbacks anywhere in world football, Hakimi and Nuno Mendes. They are so powerful and so fast. But sometimes you have to trust what your eyes are telling you. And at the moment when Rio plays, he gives the team a genuine spark and a bit of a kick. And they are going to need something. Liverpool are going to need a turbocharged Klopp-like performance in order to try and get through this tie, Jeff. I don't see it personally because I think PSG will score because they just create too many chances and they are so good and so quick on the break themselves. But would I start him? I'd be very tempted to, I think.
Yeah.
I think I would.
After his performance against Fulham,
I
think it's near impossible to leave him out.
Yeah, I think so. I think Liverpool need to produce one of their barnstorming best performances, and it's something that's been sadly lacking from their play a lot this season. That real intensity, that real foot to the floor stuff where you don't worry about the last 10-20 minutes, you're worrying about every 5-minute chunk and just trying to be as positive as you can. And they're going to need something like that, backed by a ferocious Anfield. You never know, but my heart tells me that PSG have just got too much all round and will score again.
Yeah, big decision for Arne Slot. Right, Tyson Fury back with a bang on Saturday. Well, a bang-ish on Saturday. Defeating the unbeaten Arslanbek Makhmudov on points, comprehensive points win. AJ was watching at ringside. Tyson Fury wasted no time in grabbing the mic to demand a fight against AJ at the end. For more on this, I'm delighted to say that joining us now, former Cruiserweight World Champion Tony Bellew. Morning, Tony.
Morning, Tone.
How are you, gents?
Yeah, very good, thanks, mate. What did you make of Tyson's performance at the weekend?
Yeah, I thought he got the job done, guys. Thought, being out the ring as long as he's been, I thought he just got the job done. Arslanbek Makhmudov is very tough. He's extremely strong. He's dangerous early doors. And I thought Tyson Fury dealt with that well and he got the job done.
Yeah, again, I think that it must be difficult. And I admire him, Tony, a lot for, with everything that he's done in the business. He doesn't need to do this anymore. He's doing it because he loves it, he wants it, he misses it, he needs it in many ways.
That's true.
So not easy for him, but I thought as the fight went on, it looked like he got better.
He did, and that's what's going to happen with ring rust. You will improve, you will get better the more you shed of it. So, like I said, I thought it was a performance from him, and I didn't think he was troubled at all.
Do you still want to see Tyson Fury against AJ, Tony, or was it a fight that you'd have welcomed seeing 3, 4, 5 years ago?
I think we all want to see it, to be totally honest. I mean, it has to happen. It's going to be one of them questions where you go on forever and you go, well, could he, should he, would he? It has to happen. It's one of them ones you don't want to be talking about in 20 years about why did it happen, why didn't it happen. I just think it's it's better for both of the careers if it does happen and we just get a definitive answer, even if they are, which I believe they are, both of them are a couple of years past the best.
Yeah, and if it was to happen, Tony, would you be anticipating at the end of this year, or are you thinking AJ is probably going to need another fight, more likely to be the beginning of next?
Well, I think it's only fair that with Tyson Fury having a warm-up, that Joshua gets a warm-up.
Yeah.
I say warm-up. The dangerous fights, lads, at that kind of weight, it takes one clip on the chin and you're going over. So I say warm-up a bit reluctantly. I mean, and no one wants to see Anthony Joshua into a fight that he's just going to blow someone away. I mean, I don't know. I'd love to see Anthony Joshua going with Deontay Wilder.
Right.
I mean, I think that would be a good first fight for him back. I think the timing's perfect. And I think he'd look $1 million. I think he'd get rid of Deontay Wilder. I'd be amazed if it went past 2 rounds. But it's what him and his team are going to want. He's got a new team around him in Alexander Usyk. And like I say, he's away, he's training. He turned up Saturday. He didn't really look to be wanting to get too much into the politics and into much of the nonsense with Tyson Fury. He just said, listen, I'm here. It looked like he was kind of there because he needed to be there. So he's basically come out and said, the contract's not signed yet. It's not 100% done. I'm looking forward to it being done. That's it.
Talking about looking forward, Tony, you got your passport ready for Europe next season for Everton?
I'm just in the gym, boys. I was on the cross-train as you were there. I was listening to your talk, Andy, about Moore. About starting for Liverpool. And do you know what? I think we overcomplicate things when it comes to football. In my opinion, it's quite simple. If he's good enough, he's old enough, let the boy play.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. My little nephew's there, Jaden Dans, Neil Dan's lad, and he's had a couple of injuries of late, but when he got his chance, he came in, he scored 2 goals, I think it was against Southampton. He was brilliant. And these youngsters, don't stop holding them back. You're only hurting the development. Let them play. I get what you're saying. And you know more than I know. I mean, what I know about football, you could write on the back of the first class stamp and have room for the Lord's Prayer. But, and what you know, you've lived it. But at the same time, I just think if they're good enough, just let the boys play. Let them experience it, because Liverpool should not be wrote off. What I've witnessed, what I've seen at that football club, I mean, it winds me up and annoys me. But, I mean, I remember laughing at them many a time when they've been 3-0 down from one leg, and then all of a sudden I'm getting text messages at half-time, he's still laughing. I've had to switch my phone off for days. I was one of them Muppets who was texting them at half-time in Istanbul in 2005. And, it's just never, ever write them off, because I'll tell you something, you're in for a rude awakening if you do.
And the Merseyside derby, Tony, at the new ground.
Well, that's where it comes to, and that's where they are going to get dealt with, mate. That's where I don't care who they put on and who they play. They can put on our baby. They can do whatever they want, mate. They've absolutely had it.
Brilliant.
It's the only time I don't want to see the kid shine. Anytime I want to see him flying, I want to see him doing great for Liverpool. But when he's up against that blue shirt, mate, and the greatest team in football, that's Everton Football Club, then he better just leave us alone.
Good lad. Hey, Tony, thanks for joining us, mate.
Great stuff,
all the best, son.
Lads, always a pleasure. Have a great day.
Cheers, Tony. Brilliant. That's next weekend, of course. Merseyside derby, Everton against Liverpool. I mean, Everton are just a point behind Chelsea. Incredible. They've had a great season.
They have, and again, late goal, Keenan Dewsbury Hall against.
Has had a fantastic season for them.
Again, he's looked good, and he looks like he's kind of playing in the right position when he plays for Moisey. They've been without Jack Grealish now for a good few weeks. They continue to get points and get results, don't they? We often and people criticise us because we happen to say, well, David Moyes is doing a decent job. He is doing a decent job. Just don't ignore the facts. Just look at him. Yeah. He's doing a very, very sound
He's doing
job.
a better than decent job. This is usually a side that's battling against relegation.
Yeah, but they're not
battling for a European spot.
They're not a small club, Everton, far from it. They're a big, big club. And now they've got genuine possibilities to even get bigger. So where they are right now, I think, is absolutely spot on for this journey that they're going on, and with this new stadium and more fans coming in, week out. Things are looking very much up for the Toffees.
Absolutely. Coming up, could Leeds do the improbable and take points from Old Trafford tonight? It's live and exclusive on talkSPORT.
Guardiola has been speaking today about his team's tendency to finish season strongly.
Hopefully we can do a lot of points. It's at the situation that we are in the Premier League, so we need to do all of them. Otherwise, we will not give us a chance to try it until the end. So we need to do a lot of points. We were not consistent enough during the season. We dropped points that we should take it, and that's why we're in the position that now we cannot do it differently.
He also talked a little bit about on whether he feels more excited at this time of the year. No, he says, I have a lot of yellow cards. That means how excited I am. Not just for April, but during the season. I have had a good energy, and I still have good energy. You get the feeling that he thinks that there's still a chance that they can catch them.
I think they're probably going to have to win every game to do it. We were just working it out there on Gabby's crib sheet. They've got 8 games left. They're on 61 points. So if they win every game, they get to 85. That would mean that Arsenal on 70 need 5 wins from their last 7 games. If they win every game, Manchester City, they've got a squeak, especially as they play Arsenal. But they have no margin for error. And I actually agree with Gabby. We all think Chelsea will lose on Sunday, but it might be a more difficult task than we think. Remember, they went with the under-21 manager to the Etihad Chelsea and got a point.
Who would have thought a sporting event's halftime show could have a bigger impact than the game itself? That seems to be the case with the Super Bowl halftime show. In 2024, Usher brought in an audience of 180 million worldwide, the biggest in the event's history. But how did singing and dancing get to be the centrepiece of America's biggest sporting event? The first Super Bowl was held in 1967. Initially, the halftime show was a display purely for the fans in the stadium, with marching bands, dancers, and American patriotism for all to see. And that's what it was for the first few years. Disney had a go with a few questionable displays in the 1980s, but it wasn't until '93 that we got the first glimpse into the future of halftime shows. Michael Jackson's stellar performance gave NFL execs something to think about. A raft of massive names followed, including Diana Ross, U2, Janet Jackson, who gave us the most famous or infamous wardrobe malfunction of all time. So how many people are involved? To give you an idea of the scale, Rihanna's 2023 performance included 800 people, and experts reckon it cost $13 million. What's even more impressive than some of the names on the bill every year is the fact they do it for free. The artists know the exposure they'll get from doing the show will rocket them up the charts across the world. The Super Bowl halftime show will be a fixture in pop culture for years to come. So the question is, who next?
Good morning to you. It's 9:36, Monday, April the 13th. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark, the perfect time to upgrade your car. Get 2 years free servicing when you buy a used car in the upgrade event. Check it out online. I'm Jeff Stelling. Andy Townsend's with me. We're here for the next 23 minutes or so. Now, the football keeps on coming right here on talkSPORT as Leeds United go to Manchester United in a huge game at both ends of the table.
Now it's 4-on-2, and it's being led by Fernandes, and now it's in Burma to finish it. He does.
and Manchester United lead on the breakaway. Dare I say it, this is what coming to Old Trafford used to be like for away teams. For Carrick and United, the chase for the Champions League goes on.
Bruno Fernandes, what a finish, what a goal!
Something that we've got to embrace, and it's yeah, as I say, it's why we're involved for these type of games.
Which way will the relegation battle swing next?
New boos, more of frustration. The effort was there from Leeds, but the quality was sadly lacking. But it ends Leeds 0, Brentford 0. And Mavropanos turns and fires it past the goalkeeper to make it 4-0 to West Ham.
Over to you, the rest of the teams around in the relegation zone.
All of them trying to avoid that one place.
Yeah, we're Leeds United. We don't ever do it the easy way.
It's the War of the Roses, the White Rose of Yorkshire against the Red of Lancashire.
It's a traditionally massive game as Manchester United take on Leeds. I'm delighted to say that former Manchester United coach René Moulenstein joins us now. Morning, René.
Morning, René.
Good morning.
René, this is a great chance for Manchester United, first of all, to consolidate a top 5 place in Champions League football for next season. I mean, at the start of the campaign, most Manchester United fans would have bitten your hand off for Champions League qualification, wouldn't they?
They would have, Jeff, but I think a lot of fans will also think that if they would have made the change earlier, Manchester United could have well be in the mix, challenging for, something more than just a Champions League spot. I mean, we've seen obviously the rise after Michael Carrick took over, and they sit in a really comfortable spot now.
Yeah, what's impressed you most about the way that Michael's gone about it, René?
Well, I think I said it on this show, Andy, in the beginning when he took over, and I said it, I don't think it takes that much to fix it. And what I meant by that is, and that is exactly what Michael has done with his staff, making sure that you come up with a system that suits the players, make sure they understand the non-negotiables in terms of, work rate and defensive duties and responsibilities, and then let players play to their strength, especially on the front part of the pitch, where there's a lot of attacking threat, a lot of creativity, and therefore unpredictability. And it showed that over time, they have grown better possessional stats. That has increased, better pass completion stats. So all that is working in Manchester United's favour.
Yeah. Well, 23 points from 10 league games under Michael Carrick. That is title-winning form to all intents and purposes. Is it inevitable, René, that they offer him the job on a permanent basis?
I'm not would say inevitable, because you have to think, I don't know what sort of discussions have been taking place when obviously Michael was put in place as an interim manager. And there might be managers out there that the club might be looking at. But having said that, it's not a surprise to me that Michael has done what he's done. He understands the club, he knows the expectations, what the fans want, the style of football they need to play. So there is definitely also a case that if the club would consider making, maybe hiring Michael as a full-time manager, I wouldn't be against it.
Yeah. For United next season, René, to be up there right from the get-go and to be in with a shout at this time in a year from now, what have they got to go and find in the summer? What have they got to go and buy?
Well, obviously everybody knows that Casemiro is leaving, so I'm really great to see the resurgence of Kobe Mainoo, because we all knew what a good player he was. And he shows that now week in, week out under Michael. But I think Manchester United need a really good other midfielder in the middle of the park. I'm a big fan of Adam Wharton, because that is the type of player that I think can link the back to the front very, very quickly and launches those attacking threats on the Mbeumo and Cunha and Fernandes and all those players. So that is what I would go for. There's other names being obviously thrown around in that area of the field, but I think Adam Wharton would be a really good fit.
I mean, obviously, you know what these games are like, René, just across the Pennines. Bit of a derby atmosphere. They're always feisty. And with Leeds still in that relegation battle, this promises to be, well, I've used the word once, but a real battle for both sides.
Yeah, it will be, but it will be difficult for Leeds. I mean, obviously, it's interesting to see, because if you look at Manchester United, they haven't played for over 3 weeks. Yeah. So you need to think about, do they still straight away click in, and is the rhythm still there? Whereas Leeds has obviously been playing as well. But I mean, obviously Leeds, everything that they could get out of this game will be a bonus, because otherwise they've got a massive game against Wolves after that. Bournemouth away will be difficult, and then they've got Burnley. So anything they could get out of the game tonight would be a massive bonus for them.
Yeah. Rennie, we've been talking this morning about leaders. So many of our talkSPORT listeners have been ringing in, texting in and saying that the club lack leadership on the field, etc. Where have all the leaders gone? And these leadership groups, Rennie, tell me, what are the positives of those compared with just having one skipper and one voice in that dressing room?
Well, you've obviously, Annie, you play it yourself, and I'm sure that you can think about certain leaders that you played with. And the thing with that is that leaders they're basically the compass of the whole of the team. You know, they lead by example. Very good leaders. They step up on big games when it's needed, and they perform. But it's also important that they keep the gauge of that team in the right spot, to making sure that. The discipline is still there when needed. The quality is still there. The standards are still met in training, etc., etc. But where are the leaders? Because where the leaders has gone, because the whole society has changed, Andy. Because everything has gone, slipped into a far more individualised situation through the mobile phones, the technology, social media, etc., etc. Communication has gone on a completely different level as what it used to be. So all those things you need to look at. In Manchester United, obviously, I still think that although sometimes his behaviour might be still questioned at times a little bit, but Bruno Fernandes, in my opinion, is still a leader, because
I agree.
He always steps up, and he always performs, and he's always been very, very important.
Yeah.
And the same, possibly, you could say with Harry Maguire. Has got certain leader qualities. But they are important, and the leadership groups are important, like I said, because as a manager, as a staff, you need to make sure that you know what keeps the group ticking over, and if there are things that need to be addressed, and you want the players to address that rather than the staff, I think it's a really good tool to do that.
Rennie, thanks for joining us. Lovely to talk to you.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
While Manchester United have been resting themselves, their first game since March the 20th, Leeds have paid the price, really, for their cup run, because Anton Stack and Joe Rodon both injured.
Are they tonight?
In that game at West Ham, so they'll both miss the game this evening. It's a real test to their squad. For what it's worth, I don't see Leeds going down. They've got Wolves and Burnley.
No, I think they've got enough,
and
Jeff, as well.
Win those two games, and that's enough.
I think so too. I think tonight is a great opportunity for United again to continue in the way that Michael has gone about it. He's done everything right, Michael Carrick, really has.
23 points from 10 games. How can you not give him the job? And if they offered it to somebody in his place, what an enviable position they would be in the sense of, they know they would be compared with this amazing record that Carrick has got. I think it's a no-brainer that he gets the job. But we will see. Don't forget live commentary of Manchester United against Leeds right here tonight on talkSPORT. Build-up from 7, kick-off at 8. Commentary from Sam Matterface and the former United captain Steve Bruce.
I mean, who's left there now? Only Alisson, Van Dijk. I think that's probably it, isn't it?
Just on Andy Robertson, do you think he'll stay in the Premier League?
I think he can.
Yeah.
I think he can. I think they're a.
I'd have him at Tottenham. I wish we got
him. Well, you were linked with him in January, weren't you?
Yeah.
And that the writing was. It's not the biggest surprise in the world, is it? That he's leaving.
No, it's not a surprise.
What
but
happened in January?
It made us. think about left backs, right?
Yeah.
You think about the great left backs of the Premier League, and where does he rank?
So when I was outside with Ryan, the producer, and then Ryan said there was a period where he was the best left back in the world, and I went, "What? What you on about? Best left back in the world?" And he said he's best in the top 3 of the Premier League. And I'm like, no, I'm not sure he is. And then you look at the names that you think, you know what? Actually, maybe he is in this conversation.
I think he is. Look, Ashley Cole for me, obviously, yes, he's the greatest.
He's out on his own.
He's out on his own, and then after that, you look at the other left backs. There are Patrice
Well, in
Evra.
terms of numbers, let me just tell you now, Andy Robertson's Premier League appearances, 373. 13 goals, 69 assists. Now, that is insane for a fullback. Trent's numbers aren't dissimilar from what I can gather.
Yeah.
I haven't got them, but just looking at left backs here. He outstrips, John Arisa has 30, but he is, the closest to him is Ashley Cole on 31. That's the closest. He's got 69.
Yeah, I think he's in the top 3 greatest Premier League left backs.
Well, yeah, go on. Who's
Good morning to you. This is talkSPORT Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stilling. Andy Townsend is with me 10 minutes away from 10 o'clock. Rich, who's in Brentwood, says, in regards to Arsenal, I think as long as you have a manager like Mikel Arteta dancing, gesticulating and basically putting his stress and anxiety onto his players on the pitch, they're not going to play with the freedom that's going to win them the title.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
he does get so animated.
He does,
doesn't he?
He does.
He does.
He said, Rich goes on to say, you can even see when watching them that if they make a mistake or something negative happens, the first thing an Arsenal player does is to look across at the bench to see Arteta's reaction.
Good point.
It's a really interesting point, Rich.
It is a good point. And I tell you, Rich, from experience, when you're playing and you look across and your manager's going nuts all the time, it does actually annoy you when you're out there. Yeah. It is nice, and Ancelotti had that incredibly sort of passive look and way about him, didn't he? Rarely got animated, but there's a reason why he's doing that, because one, he's got to trust his players, and he can't do anything about it anyway. Lets them get on with it, and I think that does work for you. So that's a very good point what you're saying about Mikel Arteta, that he's so desperate at the moment to get over the line that his stress on the side transmitting to the players. Good point.
Now, let's take a little time to reflect again on Saturday's Grand National, shall we? I Am Maximus became the first horse since Red Rum in 1977 to regain the Grand National for trainer Willie Mullins and jockey Paul Townend. Willie's now got 4 Grand Nationals to his name, and in doing so became the first trainer since Vincent O'Brien way back in 1955 to win the race on 3 consecutive occasions. I'm delighted to say that Sir A.P. McCoy joins us now. Of course, he won the National back in 2010. Morning, A.P.
Good morning, lads. How are you?
Morning. Yeah, really good. Were you watching the golf last night?
I was up late. It was brilliant. As sure, it was just the most amazing thing. You think when Rory had a little bit of a slow start and he was 3 shots behind. In fairness to him, he's got great mental strength and great constitution. But I would imagine I would imagine this year is the first time since whenever it was 2011 or whatever that he would have actually enjoyed playing Augusta. I would have thought.
Yeah. Oh no, it was brilliant viewing as well. And if you backed Iron Maximus, and plenty of people did, it was brilliant viewing on Saturday too. Can you sort of assess the riding performance of Paul Townend?
Yeah, look, it was a brilliant ride. He's a very good horse. He was a bit unlucky not to win it last year. I think he had a better preparation, the horse, this year than he did last year. I think before you're running a Grand National, you actually need to have had a few runs just to build up. No matter how good a trainer Willie Mullins is, I think you actually need to have the runs into them, the mileage into him to run over that marathon trip. And last year he didn't really have it. He missed his prep race, and I think that might have cost him. Otherwise, he might have won 3 Grand Nationals. But it was a brilliant ride by Paul Townend. Like, he's won 2 Grand Nationals. He's won 5 Gold Cups. He's won it all. So it was a brilliant ride on the biggest stage, and on a brilliant Grand National horse.
Yeah, it was an amazing run. Tony, what was the name of the horse that was actually leading as they were coming
Jordan's.
Yeah, Jordan's, exactly. Now, and it was funny, I was listening to you afterwards saying about, that just going too early, going too soon in that respect. It must be very difficult when you're in front not to feel like you want to do that.
It is, but he probably just did go a little bit early. He was in a really good position throughout the race, and from the canal turn, he just probably made a little bit of ground up much too quick. He is only a 7-year-old. Joseph O'Brien, who trains him, is an absolute genius. He's won 2 Melbourne Cups. He's won Epsom Derbies. He's a jockey. He's won the lot. He hasn't won the Grand National, but that horse will go there next year if they get him there in one piece. He'll be a big player last year, but there's no doubt that. He probably took it up a little bit too soon, for sure.
Look, and I know Willie Mullins has got a lot of ammunition, but what an achievement, winning the race 4 times.
Yeah, it is big. It is, and he won the champion hurdle this year. He won the Gold Cup with Gaelic Warrior. He's not going to be champion trainer in the UK this year because Dan Skelton has managed to do that, and fair play to Dan. But yeah, Willie sets a very, very high standard. I suppose he's like Alex Ferguson's or the brilliant football managers. He keeps it at a top level, and he keeps changing, and he keeps changing the team, and he keeps making it harder for everyone else to catch him. So you got to give him a huge amount of credit for that.
Yeah. I know, Epi, not everybody's a fan of horse racing, but full house at Aintree at the weekend, and reportedly a lot of young people there. Do you feel that racing's now gathering a new audience, if you like?
Yeah, I genuinely do. I thought New Year's Day at Cheltenham, there was 45,000 people there. I couldn't believe the amount of young people there. My daughter Eve is not really mad into horse racing, but her and 12 friends went to Cheltenham, and they absolutely loved it. So it's definitely becoming more of a trend. I think young people, what I have to give them a lot of credit for, a lot of young people at Aintree and at Cheltenham, they were so well dressed. They made such a big thing up about having the lads having their suits on, their shirts and ties, and the girls looking really well. I think it's a real occasion for them to go somewhere, and not all of them will love the horse racing as much as they love the day out, but and you're right, Jeff. Racing and sports like that will always have its knockers, but it is a great sport, and it's a great day out. And people like me, for instance, I'm not from a racing family, but I'm in the yard this morning. I love horses. I love looking after them, and horses are great animals. You even got to you go into with young kids with special needs, whatever. It's amazing how horses can, how horses know. One of my really good friends, one of my best friends, Graham Lee, got paralysed 2 years ago, and he comes up to the yard here. He can't move anything. He can't move anything from the neck down. And we have a horse here, Alma. He'll come out and put his head in his chair and his lap, and it's just wonderful. It's just the coolest thing, Yeah.
Wonderful. AP, thanks for joining us, mate.
Thank you, AP.
Cheers,
thanks
lads.
a lot.
Take care.
Cheers, mate. Enjoyed it, Dan. Look, I've got a quick message on X here from Jonesy, who says, you and Andy, brilliant, down-to-earth listen. I was at Villa against Forest when Andy scored and got sent off in a 1-1 draw. What did you do?
I did actually. I scored, and then literally about 2 minutes after scoring, got myself sent off. And it was, I think it was about the third sending off I'd had in about 5 or 6 games.
Whoa!
Yeah, it was.
I didn't think you were that sort of player.
No, it was just late, Jeff, and too slow. I think it must have been. But no, I did. Yeah, I did. I do remember that one very well. Thank you for reminding me. But that was nice. Scored a goal in front of the Holt end, and within a couple of minutes, I'm making a long walk to the tunnel in the corner.
And even worse, apparently, Des Little scored a last-minute equaliser.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So that must have been down to you. The fact you were down to 10.
Correct. My fault. Hands up.
So what are you up to the rest of the day, mate?
So I'm actually going to Villa this afternoon. I'm doing something for the club later on this afternoon. So back on the rattler. Hopefully that'll all be on time. And yep, Jeff, looking forward to a really busy week's football. Got some great games this week.
Yeah,
we've got some massive games.
Yeah, people know I'm not the greatest fan of the current Champions League format, but I love it when it gets to this stage. Yeah. Me, got a couple of people to meet today. Got to do a bit of shopping and then a couple of hours of sleep because I didn't get much last night. Right. Thanks to the Masters and Rory.
Great to see you back, pal.
Yeah, you too, mate. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Super Ali McCoist will be with us as well. My thanks to Andy Townsend. Up next, Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy.